ready to get physical. It's time to talk some this and more. We gonna talk about it all. DVD, CD, UHD, VHS, clips, Blu-ray. Who knows, maybe you'll even see a laser disc today. Let's get physical. We wanna talk some physical media. Movies and TV, music and more. Come check out what we have in store. This is the media house stream. It's time for some physical media on FanZcene.
I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Jimmy does that.
It's got the Mighty Ducks guy. Got that guy.
No! Yes, but no! He's not the Mighty Ducks guy! It's Emilio Estevez!
You can never have enough physical media.
Emilio! What's up? Hello, fellow followers, and welcome back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene Vids. With me tonight is Rookie, and have no fear, Tom will be joining us here very shortly. He's doing a little something, but he will be here, so don't worry, he will be here. How you doing, Rookie?
Yeah, doing good. You're not just stuck with me tonight. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, they'd probably leave if it was just me and you, because...
Oh no, they'd love to stay for my takes, depending on what they are, depending on what movies we talk about. They'd love to hear whatever takes they are, good or bad, I'm sure.
They might stay for me. I don't know about you. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I'm glad to have you here, Rook. I appreciate you. And I'm going to go ahead and say hey to the chat real quick, and then we'll get into talking about releases and everything else.
Sweet.
So, yes, we have Vinobite. Hell to you, Vinobite. Glad to have you with us. Hi, Heather Preston. Always in the chat saying hi. Nice to have you with us. Random Brad, my dude. What is up? Always glad to see you in the chat. And I absolutely love this guy's name. Tell him Freddie sent ya. Hi, everyone.
Tell him Freddie sent ya.
I love it. I love it. Welcome. Tell him Freddie sent ya. Appreciate you. What's up, Ace Halen? We're going to show you the goods. We're going to get the goods and show them to you. Yeah. What's up, FKHC 2005? Hell to you, but we don't want the Irish.
I don't want the Irish. I don't know if I can do an Irish accent. I have no idea.
Not even close.
Nope. That was like a weird, that was like a deformed Russian. That was like a deformed Russian accent. I don't know what that was.
What's up, Doug Nation? He says, bought the Fall Guy. Was surprised they put the extended cut on its own disc. Yes, I've heard that. I still need to see the Fall Guy. I'm behind on new movies. You guys know that. I don't watch a lot of new movies.
Is that like brand new or what?
Yeah,
Fall Guy?
Tom brought it on already. Tom and well, no, Tom didn't bring it on. No, Runner and I think Steven, Deleted Scenes, brought it on, if I remember. Yes, new movie. Howdy, VHS Mikey, my VHS King. What's up, dude? Glad to have you with us. Salute to you, Deleted Scenes. Glad to have you with us. And what's up, Cowabunga, dude? And hello, Berserker 99. Hell Physical Media. Yes, Hell Physical Media. Hell to all the beautiful physical media maniacs. Yes, sir. What you gonna do, brother, when the physical media maniacs run wild on you? Style Section. Glad to have you. I hurt my third on that.
Was that supposed to be Randy Savage?
That's supposed to be Hulk Hogan.
Or Hulk Hogan. Okay, sorry. I'm not. You guys can tell I'm not a wrestling guy.
What's up, Corley and Rogue? Glad to have you with us. Dragozilla, my dude. What is up? Hell to you. What's up, Stephen Luther? Glad to have you with us in the chat. People, make sure you check this out. YouTube unsubscribe me. Weird, Corley and Rogue said. Check this out. This has been happening to me a lot here lately. This is the first time I've started to notice this. I've seen people say this before, but I've been getting complaints that YouTube is not notifying people when my videos are put out that have the notifications on, and now they're unsubscribing people. So please check and make sure. A good trick to do that, like Tom said last week, is unsubscribe and subscribe back, and that will fix things. But make sure you guys check, Rookies, mine, whoever channels you're having trouble with, because I've noticed this a lot lately. So
I'd say also, like, when you subscribe, to switch it to all. Like, there's like an option when you subscribe to like get all notifications, because otherwise they sometimes might not prioritize notifying you. They'll even sometimes give people that are unsubscribed more notification than people that are subscribed, unless they have the like all notifications selected or something.
YouTube is bitch.
Yeah,
yeah.
all the time.
What's up, Brian Barth? Hell to you. Glad to have you with us. And what is I already said VHS Mikey. Hey, VHS Mikey again. What's up?
What's up twice? Yeah.
What's up twice? Am I missing anybody here? Okay, now Rooksy Youngbuck. Yes, sir. Let me just tell the fuck I was okay. Oh, you didn't bring it on. I think Runner brought it on the last time he was here. But alas, Runner will not be joining us for a while because the young man is back at college. So
yeah, appreciate you keeping my seat warm, deleted scenes.
Yep. But there you guys have there. I think that's everybody to chat. So everybody out there, thank you. And like I said, make sure if you like what you see here and are subscribed and you appreciate it, make sure you're still good to go. No Runner, sadly, not for
you gotta
a
be
while.
stuck with New Runner.
But Tom will be joining us, everybody. Tom will be joining us. Let's see.
He's gonna make a dramatic entrance, I'm sure.
Yeah, he'll come in and just let's see what we got for new releases. I haven't kept up with them today, so I don't know right away. So give me a minute so I look at these. Oh, look! It looks like we will be getting from Turbine Media, which is a German company, by the way.
Okay.
Wire, starring Pamela Anderson on 4K, which it's already been released on 4K before. I'm not sure by Turbine, but somebody else maybe have done it. That's a fun movie, actually.
Which movie?
Barbed Wire, starring Pamela Anderson.
Barbed Wire. Oh, yeah, that's on my list somewhere. I've had that one recommended a few times.
Yeah. I'm trying to see what we got here. Maybe let me go to here real quick and see what we got. Because, like I said, I haven't kept up this week. It's been busy. Been a busy week. My apologies with Labor Day and everything. It's been busy. I haven't been able to keep up with certain things. Let's see. What do we got here?
Good.
Where's the upcoming? Yeah.
College. Who cares? Who needs an education when AI will be taking over soon? Says FKH. C 2005.
AI will take over. They're taking their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, like
jobs.
part of me can see like AI at its best is really good, but I feel like at least it'll be a while before it's good enough consistently by like the average person. Like, AI still got a ways to go, I'd say, for a lot of stuff. I mean, some of it's like the people have to be wanting to put a lot of effort into it sometimes to have it actually look good for different AI stuff, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
It'd like to create an image, create a visual, to create I assume prompts for writing is probably simpler than like creating an image or something. Have you seen the attempts at AI movies, FanZcene? You seen those? You seen those?
The what?
Like attempts at AI movies.
What movies?
AI movies.
Can you
like they try to make a movie out of just AI.
I've seen I have never watched them, but I've seen them like the thumbnail.
Well, like they've had like little trailers here or there for a couple of them, and I'm like, oh god, like I'm not worried. Like, especially for film, I'm not worried for film being affected by AI that severely. They're like, she's like, oh hey, don't I love you? And like her eyes are all weird. She's got 8 fingers. It's like, yeah, I think we'll be good. We'll be good.
Yeah. We'll be good. But yes, I did see this Dragonzilla. Howling 2 is getting a 4K from Vinegar Syndrome, which that movie is batshit crazy. That is just like one of the worst best movies ever. Well, can't say I say that about. There's a lot of movies that are called like the worst best movies ever made, but The Howling 2 is absolutely bonkers. And if you've never seen it, I do say check it out. Great movie. And I think we're ready. I think you're ready. Are you ready to come on in, Tom? There you are.
My sister's a werewolf.
My sister's, yeah. What was it called? Is it Sturbia? My sister's a werewolf? Or what is that? What it's called? The original name? But
I don't know.
I think that's what. But it's crazy. The best thing about that movie is Sybil Danny drops her top like 23 times in the movie. Oh,
I brought it on not that long ago. I remember.
Yeah.
It's batshit crazy.
Yeah, it's batshit crazy. I love it. Now it's getting a 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. So
I know. Isn't that interesting? It's about time Vinegar Syndrome gets itself a decent title. It hasn't had a good one in a little while.
Yeah.
Not like some of the other ones they've been putting out. Yeah, they had a few good ones. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah. But we were going through some. I seen that they're having the like 19. What is that? The 1930s Christmas carols coming to Blu-ray. I think that's the first time that's ever been on there, right? Star Trek: The Motion Picture is getting a new 4K steelbook. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark is getting a 4K. What's the Invasion? The Invasion 4K limited edition. I don't know if I saw that one. The Shape of Water. Did we talk about that one? The Shape of Water is getting a 4K. Simple Plan is getting.
No, I don't think we mentioned all those because those are all in the Arrow sale.
Yeah, the Arrow.
Or the Arrow announcements, I mean.
Yeah. And then we talked. Did we bring up Seven Samurais coming August 30th on 4K?
That one I think we did. Yeah.
Okay.
Sixth Sense and Signs. Did you bring those up?
I think we brought those up last week with the shitty artwork.
Somebody said Airplane is one
that's one that they've been talking about for a while. I've got the 4K of that on digital. Had that forever. About time Paramount gets around to it.
Yeah, I think I heard that too. Yeah, I did see the Austin Powers is getting a 4K in the UK. So
yeah, I know it was announced that we're getting them here too eventually. So I would imagine it'll be the same. Probably do the same thing they're doing Nightmare on Elm Street and releasing one at a time in Blade.
Probably
because they're being assholes and greedy.
Yep. Didn't you bring on the Murder on the Orient Express, the original?
Yes.
Looks like it's getting a 4K for the 50th anniversary. So I just noticed that.
From Kino Lorber. That one's one they announced a while back too. Yeah, there wasn't any big, huge announcements. Did you get the Never-Ending Story one?
Oh, no, I did not get the Never-Ending Story.
That god-awful price on it, though? Holy shit.
It was like $200, right?
Almost $200, yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
I hope they do like a single 4K somebody does where I can pay like
well, it's got like
$2
two or three 4Ks in it, or 2 4Ks, 2 Blu-rays, and a CD. That's what it is. And I think that's a little overpriced. Because, it's the director's cut, the theatrical cut in 4K and on Blu-ray both. And then it's got the making of, or maybe it's 6 discs because it also has the CD soundtrack as well, which I already have. So, and most people do. So unless it's got extra bonus tracks on it that I don't already have, I could give a fuck about the soundtrack.
Right.
Right. Like,
exactly.
It's probably going to be the same goddamn thing as before. So, yeah, no.
That's insane, though. I can't believe it. That is just, I mean, I really want the movie in 4K, but I can't afford that. So, yeah. I think that was really about it for all the releases, unless I missed something. I don't think I did. Michael Mann's Keep. Oh, I did hear something about the Keep. What's up, Anthony Draven?
Yeah, what is it about that's going on with that? I can't remember now.
I think they might be finally getting ready to release it or something sometime soon. Well, not soon, but you know what I mean. It's like finally in the works, I think. Wrong thing. It's not where I wanted to go. Let's see. Let me look this up real quick. Vinegar Syndrome is going to release Michael Mann's Keep on Blu-ray. If this is true, seems like it would be my keyword release of the year. That just looks like it's a rumor at the moment. Yeah. All right. There you guys have that. All right. Now where can we begin here? What can we do? Tom, how many did you? I know you said you had a lot tonight. So how many do you have
6
in total? 6. I have 3. Rookie has 3. Let's go ahead and just start with Rook, and then we'll figure it out as we go. So, what do you got for us, Rook?
All right, I'm bringing on a Western called Good for Nothing. I'm curious if Thomas heard of this. I know you haven't, Greg, but
no.
It says co-producer from the Lord of the Rings. They shot this in New Zealand. They had the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra work on this. It's written and directed by Mike Wallace. Is that name familiar?
Nope.
Not sure, but
That's me.
it's one. So I watched the movie. I like a lot of the visuals for it. Again, the landscape's great for it. The music is banging, spot on. It's like a spaghetti western type of one. They were inspired by like movies like Fistful of Dollars and stuff when they're making it. The plot is a little odd. It's one where they really have a very small script with it, so there's not too much dialogue. There's basically this chick from England is trying to get to her ranch in the Old West over here, visiting some family or something. And they stop at a place to feed the horse and get some drinks. And then the people that are watching over her get shot down by this guy, the stranger. They call him the man, kind of, based on, guy that has no name. They're not trying to copy it, but they take inspiration from that and just not giving him a name in the film, essentially. And he attempts to grape her, but then he can't. He just like stops. He's like, something's wrong. And then they don't say it. They do a lot of comedic stuff visually. The camera really works with a lot of the comedy here too. He ends up just like leaving her under this like one tree in the middle of this valley. It looks kind of cool. And he goes to a doctor, and his first line in the movie is, "You a doc?" He's like, "Yeah, my dick's broke." What? Like that was what I decided to get the movie to see how it is and bring it on the show at some point. I saw it on Tubi. It came like I was watching it on Tubi and I was like, what the hell? There's a lot of like, that's how the comedy is in this one. Like little things like that. And he's like talking about it like, yeah, it's like my horse, it's got a shoe thing, what, you got something to fix it? He's like, I don't know, man, lay off the whiskey. Just like, okay. And then he's like, he's just like, I forget another line, but he's like, what, I tried to poke her. Just like the way he said it, just like funny. And she's like, trying to go to the sheriff or something, and but they all think she's just like a whore that's around. And it's just like it's just kind of comedic. And so she's like kind of stuck with him. He ends up going to the Chinese, like Chinese miners, to see if they have medicine or something that can help get it working. Essentially, that's the plot of the movie is basically him trying to get his dick to work, I guess, is the plot. But they don't say it there's very little dialogue in this. There's a few lines here and there. It's a lot of expressions that are pretty funny with it. And yeah, like they make like silly situations, sort of like he ties her wrists to the horse, and then these like Chinese men, and she's like, help me please. And then they're like, I don't know, these ropes are weird, and they don't speak English either. And then like one of them's like, he grabs like a huge 2-man saw, and like they try to like saw it off, and she's like, oh god, stupid assholes. And then like on the inside, they're talking. He's like, the Chinese people are translating a little bit, and he's like, acupuncture. He's like, what? Like, and then just cuts to him going outside, all pissed off, like trying to acupuncture on the dong. Not going to happen.
The weird movies you're watching a western, and all you're talking about is like some guy's dong.
I didn't pick the plot, but no, like it's like actually the cinematography is great, the like music's great, the comedy is good without trying to be too goofy. There's like a posse trying to follow them and kill them both for killing the sheriff. Like that's like the chase is going. That's who you cut back to and forth with our protagonist and whatnot. I wouldn't say he's a good protagonist at all. Neither is the chick, but she is beautiful. He does a good job just like trying, acting without saying too much. I don't know if I recommend it. But it's done by some people that really like film. The director and the main actress, they were going to buy a house. They're going to get engaged. They're engaged and they're going to buy a house, but they decided to pour their money into making this film first. And they didn't get married they didn't get married for 4 years until the movie was all finished and everything.
It's a vanity project of a movie.
Something like that.
Room.
Sounds like there's some sort of like underlying current about dicks not working here.
Yeah.
with the film, well, I don't know. It's like he's not a good guy at all. I mean, he killed the people that was like protecting her for no reason really, and to try to grape her. But then he doesn't. He ends up saving her from being gang raped at one point, and so she doesn't actually love. They actually don't end up together at the end. Spoilers. with it. They don't. He drops her off at the ranch, and it's so I like it for that too. That it's not, oh, now I love you, like some weird Stockholm shit. They don't do that, so I'm like, okay, that's actually probably good. It's also, I think they kind of imply too, because he's like injured by the end. He could maybe survive these wounds, but he's probably gonna die as well. Like, you know, I assume that's like invoking, you know, other westerns that probably do that kind of thing too. So I don't know. Interesting one to try out if people. This looks like a well-made independent film with a weird plot, is how I describe it. Because that was the one thing I was like, I listened to some of the commentary, some behind the scenes. They don't really talk about the plot of the movie much. They talk about like what they did to make the movie, which I found interesting. But they didn't really talk about the plot at all or what inspired the plot specifically. They just said they liked cowboys and Indian stuff when they were younger and wanted to make a movie like this. And so,
okay,
all right, it's called Good for Nothing.
It sounds like a vanity project, is what that sounds like. Okay, I can't talk much, but I've never seen it. We only had one person that's seen it. It was Steven.
It's got an editor that worked on for What a Workshop. Apparently, it's one of the co-producers of Lord of the Rings. It's got like some people that have talent that worked on it, but yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I'm not surprised if people haven't heard of it. Oh, one of the quotes on the back here says, "Imagine a Kiwi spaghetti western filtered through the offbeat sensibilities of early Sam Raimi or the Coen brothers. A fistful of something good. One of the best westerns since Unforgiven." I don't know if that's accurate.
Says who?
Kusk Los Angeles. I don't know.
What?
KUSC Los Angeles. I don't know.
Oh, I guarantee that's not one.
So some radio station.
Probably. Yeah, it's one I don't think I would recommend, but if you like cinematography stuff, you like film aspects. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Good music, good shots, a good framing of comedy, a good use of barely using dialogue in it to still keep you like paying attention. But like that was, by the end, I felt unsatisfied because I didn't really feel like it was going anywhere in particular, and so it's kind of like, oh, I mean, it ends and now it's over. Like, but there's no goal along the way. There's no breadcrumbs along the way to really let me, I don't know, feel like I'm watching a story unfold. It was just kind of like awkward situations between people, you know, like that's kind of what that felt like, I guess. But that's that. So I had nothing else to say on that one.
Okay. Can everybody hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. You sound slightly low to me, but I can still hear you just fine.
I noticed I'm only got one bar, so I wasn't sure if I was coming in good or not.
I got you. I can hear you.
All right. Well, Tom, if you're ready, because I have nothing to say to that, I'm going to pop you up if you're ready for your first pick.
Well, off that one, I say, we're going to talk some Westerns. You brought this one on a few weeks back, I think. And when you brought it on, I'm like, oh, I got to get that. So I did. The Cowboy Way.
Nice. Love that movie.
It's a great film, but oh my God, does this Blu-ray look horrendous.
Right? Yeah.
As fuck. It is overly dark. I mean, I don't know if maybe this was like even a telecine or something like that. So for those who don't know, until they started scanning film, they actually used to do what was called telecine, where they would literally basically videotape film.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more complicated than that, than I made it sound, but really at the end of the day, that's what it is. Okay. So that was how older scans used to be done, and quote unquote scans. We didn't actually call them scans. They were called telecines for that reason. And going from film to digital video, that was the only way you could for the longest time until they invented the film scanner. That's how bad it looks. I mean, this thing looks horrendous. It's got a 5.1 mix, so I imagine the DVD must have had one. That's why. Yeah. But I mean, this does look like the same master they had for the DVD.
Yeah, it doesn't look
barely even looks 720p for that matter. Yeah.
But it is from our good friends at Mill Creek, so.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So it is what it is. But no, that is a fun like modern.
The film itself is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not exactly a Western, but it's a Western meets city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ernie Hudson's in it. He's good. He's good at it when he's like, "Hey, do you know it was a black cowboy that invented whatever?" And he's like, "Of course I knew that." So, Woody Harrelson and stuff. Oh, that's fun. That's a good movie, and they play so well off each other. Woody Harrelson and Kiefer Sutherland in the movie. It really works. It really works. I enjoy the movie. Fun one.
Yeah, I mean, the basic plot, for those who don't know, is Woody and Kiefer Sutherland, Woody Harrelson and Kiefer Sutherland are two childhood friends who are rodeo guys. And this guy who's kind of like their father figure of sorts has his, was it his granddaughter? His daughter.
I think it's his daughter's being brought in.
His daughter being brought in. And I would say the first red flag is they bring her into New York.
Yeah.
From Cuba. It's like, that's a long off fucking ways from New Mexico.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be a lot easier just to get her over the border somehow?
Exactly. Bring her up to Mexico.
That's the other thing is these two good old boys just kind of head on over the border like it's no problem. Couldn't you just had them and bring her back? No problem.
Right.
Like any other time. So like, what the fuck, probably. So like, I don't understand. Anyway, so yeah, no, they head up there to New York to see what's going on because he disappears. And of course, from there, they follow up on leads and all that kind of shit. So yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun movie. It's a great like little fish out of water tale where they come into the city and everything. And it's just like they kick ass. You don't see movies like that anymore. You really don't. It was a good one. I don't believe it did very well at the box office, but I think it's grown in favor of the years for a lot of people. So, did Kiefer? You know what? I think he actually did. Didn't he like do some bull riding for a while? I think he did. I know.
I'm sure Woody has.
Yeah,
I mean, Woody seems like he would have. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I know he does.
Woody actually seems like a good old boy from Texas, though. So
right.
Kiefer, not so much. He seems like a California boy, so I don't know about that.
Who wants to be sort of a cowboy?
Which is funny because I think he was raised in Canada because he didn't even meet his dad till later in life, or get to really know his dad till later in life.
Yeah, because aren't they from Canada? His dad and him.
His dad is originally, yeah. But his mom was like a performer of some sort too. I can't remember which, but like, yeah, he had a twin sister as well.
Oh yeah. Which is funny, like his youngest brother was in the sequel to The Lost Boys. And let me tell you, he is no Kiefer Sutherland. Let me tell you that.
Oh no. He's like the CW version of Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah. No, but I do like Woody Harrelson. I've always liked him since Cheers, and it always blows my mind that out of that entire cast of Cheers, like Woody Harrelson became like the biggest star of all.
To this point, yeah. I mean, there was a point there where Kirstie Alley probably would have been arguably, the funny thing is, I think I remember saying this when you brought it on. I think this is the first time I've seen this movie since I first saw it.
Right.
Because I saw it on television the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember watching it at my grandma's the night it was on. So it must have been early, circa 1990s, whenever this movie came out. So it would have been like the television premiere, probably.
94, I believe, came out.
Yeah, and the thing was, I remember like NBC would show a lot of Universal movies a little earlier than you'd normally get because I remember Tremors came on TV pretty early, and I think this was another one of them they did like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember it had to be early to mid 90s, so it had to be pretty close to the time the movie actually came out. But I remember it didn't do all that great at the box office, and
yeah, it didn't do very well.
But yeah. So no, yeah, I can't recommend the disc, unfortunately, but I can recommend the film. But I'm imagining all the digital versions are probably from the same source, so it does need a remaster badly. Not that I'll probably get one, but this would be a nice one for Kino to pick up and do a new 2K scan of the inner positive or something like that, or even the negative.
I wish they would, because Kino has picked up some of the Mill Creeks before that they have, that they've.
Oh yeah.
However that works. So like, I would be, come on, Kino, if you're listening, do the cowboy way. I would like it, go right along with the Fletches and stuff. You can fix that up a little bit. So do that. All right. Well, you know what? Sort of piggybacking off of the whole sort of Western theme. I can't say this is quite a Western, but I guess it goes right along with what we're sort of talking about with the Cowboy Way. If you're done talking about the Cowboy Way.
All right. Yeah, I remember you talked about it a while back. I mean, there's not much else to say about it than that. There's not like there's any making of or anything to really get into on that one.
Yeah, there's nothing on it. All right. Well, I don't remember if you brought this one on before or not, or we talked about it once before, but I got Black Dog with Patrick Swayze, Randy Travis, and Meatloaf. I haven't
seen that in forever.
Oh yeah, I've gotten the urge to watch some couple 90s.
I didn't even know it was on Blu-ray.
You did? It doesn't look too bad. It's just this in the trailer, so there's nothing on it. It doesn't look too bad. It's from Universal, so yeah, I got a hankering to watch that, and it's a fun movie. Basically, Patrick Swayze is a truck driver who just got out of prison, and he was convicted of manslaughter. Did 2 years, and he's out of prison. He's he's working this job, and him and his wife and his daughter need some money. And the guy where he's working, because he's fixing up semi trucks and stuff, says he'd offer him $10,000 if he goes down to Atlanta, Georgia, and brings up a truck. And he doesn't have a license or anything, and he's on parole, but it's clearly, he's going to be running something illegal. And then you got Charles S. Dutton and the guy from, I can never think of it. What's his name? From Groundhog's Day, Ned Ryerson, bing, that guy. They're like FBI and ATF agents, and they're trying to stop a gun smuggling scheme. And that's basically what he's going to be smuggling, his guns, but he doesn't know it at first. So he goes down to Atlanta, Georgia, and he meets Meatloaf and Randy Travis, and Randy Travis rides along with him, and Meatloaf is one of the two bad guys in the movie, and he's just hamming it up in this movie. He's like going crazy. He's like quoting Bible verses and like, I
remember he's like the best part from my memory.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. And Randy Travis is actually pretty cool too, because he wants to be a country singer and songwriter, and he actually sings awful in the movie. So, and from what I know from singers is like to learn to sing bad is actually harder to actually sing than singing good. So he has to sing a little bad at first, and so he works pretty good. And it's like this whole group of guys. Like there's Randy Travis, Patrick Swayze, and these two other guys in a car that's supposed to be following them. And one of them might be a bad guy, and they're being chased by Meatloaf and all these other guys trying to blow him up and everything. And so it's a really fun movie. Patrick Swayze looks a little weird with short, like almost a short flat top type of hair. I'm not used to seeing his hair that short, but it works. It's a fun 90s movie. It came out in 98, but it almost feels like it should have been like a 1992 or 93 movie, if you know what I mean. From
my recollection, it's one of the few times I felt like Patrick Swayze was miscast.
A little bit.
I feel like it should have had like Sylvester Stallone or something like that in it. I don't know who, but it just feels like he feels a little out of place. And then I remember, because I didn't hate the movie. I thought the movie was all right.
It's a fun movie.
But then I remember bringing it up to my cousin who happened to be a gear jammer, and I said, "Oh, did you see that movie Black Dog?" He's like, "I hate that fucking movie. It's such full of shit." It's like whoever wrote that movie has never driven truck in their entire fucking life. And it was like, okay, well, that was the end of that conversation.
That's why I wonder about the whole black dog thing, is because he was convicted of manslaughter because he saw the black dog, and it's when you've been on the road.
I guess that thing is kind of real, but like my cousin's one of those, like, if you do anything technically wrong, when he knows something like that, like,
right,
it just ruins it for. So he's like, that's not how you drive a truck. It's like,
that's not what you do.
So he was explaining all the shit in the movie that Patrick Swayze got wrong and shit, and I'm just going like, okay, I guess I wasn't really watching that part of the film.
Yeah. We were paying attention to the technicalities.
All right, I just figured he's a truck driver. It's a movie. We like movies. Hey, no,
we need accurate truck technicalities.
Evidently, I mean, honestly though, I kind of see where he's coming from.
Yeah,
right.
It's not like a truck driver is an unobtainable like thing. Like you can't go and study. there's truck drivers everywhere. Right?
You
Like,
just ask
all Patrick
Jimbo.
Swayze had to
Is this
do
right, Jimbo? Yes,
was hang out with like 4 or 5 truck drivers for a couple weeks. He'll have it down pat. Right. So that tells me between the director, or maybe he wasn't even meant to be in the movie right away and he came in at the last minute, something. I don't know. But normally Patrick Swayze's really good with this shit, and he gets, really into the roles. He'll generally do whatever. This time, I don't know if that's what it was, but like he just didn't, whatever it was, whoever's choice it was, he didn't learn the proper stuff, I guess, because my cousin was all over that shit. That was all he was about.
He's shifting it wrong. That's not what
everybody. Yeah, no, you can't. Like, one thing he was saying is like, you can't go down the hill like that and do this shit. And it's like, he'll fucking do that. It's like, he's like, this is just bullshit. It's like,
it's a movie. He's supposed to do that.
Well, that's why I was like, after a while, I was like, you do realize it's a movie. He's like, I don't care. He's like, the least they gotta do is get some shit right.
And, Joey's not wrong here. Kurt Russell would have fit that kind of role perfectly.
Actually, yeah, that'd probably been a better choice.
Yeah. No, I do not believe Kevin Nash is in the Black Dog movie. No,
not that I can recall.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this since it first came out, but yeah.
Yeah, I got the hankering to watch it after I watched another pick of mine that I'm going to bring up. But no, I hadn't seen it in years, and I had it, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to watch that. It's a fun movie. I like Randy Travis. Meatloaf does steal the show as the bad guy. He's actually one of 2 bad guys, because there's literally 2 bad guys in the movie, and they're both the people he's working for. So, like, the guy that sends him down there to get the truck is like one of the main bad guys and kidnaps his wife and his daughter to make sure he gets the truck up there. And then Meatloaf is the guy who's providing him with the truck and the guns to drive up there. And he decides he wants to hijack the truck and take the guns for himself. So both of the people that he's working for are the bad guys coming after him. And then he's got him and Randy Travis and a couple other guys with him, just plowing down people on the expressway and blowing up trucks and that are coming after them and everything. It's just a fun movie. It's a fun action flick. So but like I said, it does feel like it should be like an earlier 90s action flick because it came out like 1998. But it's a fun one. And I figured I'd piggyback off all those like westerns into the sort of modern western, because it's sort of like a sort of western-esque, because they're they're country boys and everything, and they're basically like riding horses, but semi trucks and run people off the road. So there you have it. There's Black Dog. It's well worth it. What's up, Tim Hayes? Glad to have you with us. Yeah, I do wish though, like I know movies like this and like you just showed, like Cowboy Way don't get much in the way of special features.
No.
But I really wish they would give these movies like that a couple special features, something.
Well, you would think like CMT or something would get behind some of these,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's where I kind of think of these kind of movies. Like, that's the kind of thing you'd turn on CMT and Black Dog would be on, or Cowboy Way, or
and Son-in-Law all the time.
Smokey and the Bandit. Yeah, Son-in-Law. Shit like that. I mean, there's those kind of movies. It's like there is an audience for them. Don't act like there isn't. And from what I know, like, it's weird that they haven't tried to do a Son-in-Law sequel, even for like fucking streaming yet, because, and I can't even believe it hasn't gotten any love and release, because from what I remember, that movie was pretty, like, it sold a lot of copies.
It was pretty big,
and it's pretty popular still with a certain group of people.
I mean, Southerners really like
to the point where if you've seen Pauly Shore is Dead. He's making fun of the fact that every time he goes to the Midwest, that's all he hears is, he doesn't hear Pauly Shore. Hey, Pauly, how you doing? It's always, son-in-law!
Yeah, son-in-law!
Hey, it's son-in-law!
Yeah, exactly. And yes, I do too. I'm really surprised. He's been pushing for a while though to get like a Son-in-Law sequel or a Encino Man sequel, and these movies on Blu-rays and stuff. So you would think they eventually.
Well, you do it, but you just do the flip on the original, right? You have Crawl and what's her face have been together. Now they got a daughter or a son who's getting ready to go off to school, and of course their kid is the more free-willed one, like Crawl was. But when if it's a boy or girl or whatever it is, meets the absolute opposite in school, like this hard-edged, conservative.
Yeah, that would be great.
And that's kind of the play on it, right? Like, is that you know, they come home and they think that their father-in-law is a complete fucking moron.
That would be great. That would
Like,
work
oh
so well.
shit, that's my father-in-law. Like, that's the play, and you have it be like somebody who you can play that off with, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think it'd be good. You got to find somebody to pair with Paulie that really makes it work. So it's got to be kind of like, it's basically the same kind of thing, only in reverse. But you can't have all the same jokes. You can't play all the same tropes. You know.
Yeah.
Sure, you can have, you know, they've been living on their own little stoner farm for however many years, you know, doing their own thing. But like, yeah, now all of a sudden here comes this pro-conservative like member of the family who Grandpa would have loved, but you know,
Yeah, he's passed on. Yeah, Lane Smith sadly has passed on. So yeah, you wouldn't have him, but that would work. That would be great. And you know, I actually think does Pauly Shore live out in Texas now?
I thought he still lived in California. I could be wrong.
I'm not.
Maybe I'm not 100% sure.
I know a lot of people have escaped California. No reason why. But he says, extreme hot take. I saw Son-in-Law Jurassic Park the same day. I like Son-in-Law better. There, I said it. Oh.
You know what's funny is Son-in-Law was the first movie I saw in a multiplex.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, I had seen a movie with Dolby stereo before, but this was probably the first one with like Dolby whatever, to where it was like multi-channel surround sound or whatever. Because I do remember, especially during like the speech scene in the intro where they're talking at the graduation, like just the way it was echoing through the fucking auditorium. I'm just like, holy shit. Like, that is cool. Like, I was always aware of stereo, but like that was my first like experience with like surround sound. Because I did see The Land Before Time in Dolby stereo as a young kid, but I wasn't paying attention then to that kind of shit. I just remember as a kid seeing the Dolby sign thing over the thing, and it was just like, you know, and I do kind of remember there being cool effects during the movie, sort of, but I was just so enthralled with the movie and dinosaurs, so I didn't give a fuck about anything else. So
Exactly.
But now with Son-in-Law, I'm like all of a sudden noticing all the sound effects and stuff like that, and I'm just like, okay, this is cool. And it wasn't too long after that I bought my first hi-fi stereo VCR, because between Jurassic Park that summer, Wayne's World 2 also came out that year, and I remember that was another one that kind of turned me on to like, okay, I got to get and then, you know, stuff like seeing Forrest Gump and some other shit like that. It was like, even Beverly Hills Cop 3 was one that had a really kick-ass Dolby surround track on the VHS and Laserdisc too.
Yep. That was the
And then my buddy, of course, got Laserdisc, so he got Terminator 2 and Bad Boys and Batman Forever, and he had this big ass fucking stereo surround system that he bought, and yeah, I turned him on to all that shit. He was the rich one, so he could have all that stuff. But yeah, I'd tell him about it, he'd go buy it.
And then I'd come over and watch it.
Basically. So like I had a copy of like Bad Boys and Batman Forever just ripped right off, or copied right off of the Laserdisc.
Nice. Yeah, I was one of the people that never got into Laserdisc. We never really had it around my area where we live.
It kind of was a fancy VCR, Peter Venkman's fan site, because it was like, I'm looking at the VCRs and it was like, and you got to remember the prices at this time, right? Mm-hmm. So you're talking $200-300 for basic VCRs, right? Mm-hmm. So a hi-fi stereo is going to put you in closer to $300 range. Well, I found one that had a flying erase head on it for like $400.
Oh, nice.
And that was my dream deck. And I'm just like, I gotta get this. And I did. Yeah. There was 2 different models. My buddy, of course, got the higher end version.
Of course.
That one was like $549. Mine was like, I think it was just at $399 or $4 or something, or like right on the bottom line.
Right.
But then that one was like $100 some dollars more or whatever, and he had to get that one, of course. But I had begged my mom to order it for me through the JCPenney catalog. And I'm like, I'll pay you every month. I promise. You know, I had a job and everything. So like, I ran that bitch until it died. That was one of the greatest VCRs I ever had, picture-wise. I mean, even it had S-video output and input on it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a pretty fancy-ass fucking VCR. The only one I had that I loved even more was my mom bought it. It was an Emerson. You want to know why I liked it?
Why?
Didn't have copy stop on it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. And it was a hi-fi, so it was like, oh, sweet.
Nice.
It was actually pretty nice for an Emerson. I was like really impressed with it. And I was so pissed that she sold it at a rummage sale.
Oh no.
I was like, Mom, what did you do with the VCR? She's like, I sold it last year. I'm like, no!
No,
like, that's the one I wanted forever. Because the other one was long dead. Like, I had that thing. It would used to overheat, so I'd pull the top off. Like, I kept it going so long. Like, by the end, it's like you're sitting here watching a movie, all of a sudden go, and then you're like, okay, wait, you gotta take the top off. Take the top off, blow a fan on it and shit, and the movie would start playing just fine. Yeah, but I love that bitch for editing, man. I'd use that and, edit commercials. The best part is you could miss, you could get into the commercial, but then you could back it up, pause it right where the commercial ended, and then as long as you catch it at the right time, and I got pretty good at that, knowing, especially if you're somebody who watches a lot of TV at that point.
I used to do that, yeah. I would be so this where's pause it. Yeah.
But now as an adult, I wish I had all those tapes with the commercials.
Yeah. Now those sell big time. Actually, those with all the commercials and everything.
Like the YouTube channels and stuff where you just loading up commercials and shit. Hell yeah. Anyway, long story short, we went on a tangent there.
Yeah, we did. No, honestly, I'm surprised Laserdisc has not made it over the VHS. It's like the VHS made it come back.
It does have a little niche group.
It does.
It does who hang on to it. Now, I have teetered around getting one for purposes more so just like because there's certain special features and stuff that never made their way over to Laserdisc. But I mean, we're getting to a point where there's very few of those where it's not even worth it now for most of them, unless I've even tried to find good lists of ones that, and even anymore, they've been pretty much obliterated because Criterion used to do the best ones, and as long as they've released it on disc in another way, then they've carried over those special features usually. I think there's just a handful, if that, of discs that have never had anything mixed. That or somebody wants it because of an audio track, or they just want it for the nostalgia. If you're somebody who wants it for the nostalgia, and you come across a player that works in a box of discs, go for it, brother. Yeah, like you never know.
Yeah, there's some people out there still go crazy for it.
Even if you don't want it, maybe in 5 years from now you can sell it for something.
Yeah, I still remember. It's funny is like you can listen to the commentary on Mallrats with Kevin Smith talking about how he fucking hates DVD and Blu-ray, and like Laserdisc was going to be the shit.
Which is funny because I don't think the Laserdisc had the video. Actually, he said that on the Clerks one.
Oh, the Clerks, yeah, it was one of them.
Because for Mallrats, he's like, no, now we love DVD because they actually had the video commentary, and he maxed out like everything you could do. Like, I hate that I don't like him anymore, but and he's a dick. But like, because he was somebody who took full advantage of what you could do with DVD back in the day. And so like, I mean, I miss that. I miss guys like that who
I do too.
Used to do everything they could to try and not just give the audience, but like what can we do with this as a technology, right? Like, and that commentary is still probably in the top 5, if not 10 commentaries ever. And it's not because they even really talk about the movie all that much. It's because you get to see them and they're sitting there picking on Ben Affleck through the whole fucking thing.
It's great. I love
to the point where he finally goes like, what the fuck did I ever do to you guys? Like, it's like, you're a big fucking star now, you asshole. It's like, I remember this little bitch used to leave me little notes. I'll be back, Kevin. I promise. I'm sorry. I have to go audition for this movie for this fucking guy named Michael Bay or some shit. About some fucking asteroid. I swear I'll be back this afternoon. And he'd like leave me these little love letters all over when he'd go out for auditions and shit. Like, they're just picking on him badly, just going off on him. He's like, and he begged me for a job to be in the movie. It's like, all right, I'll give you the part, but it's gonna be the guy who gets fucked in the ass.
Oh, it was good. It was good.
Like they're just ripping and ripping on Ben. And he's just sitting there just like, you fucking guys.
That's crazy.
But his commentary on fucking Armageddon
fuck off, Ben.
is in the top 5.
It's great.
That is one of the greatest commentaries ever of all time. And he's so fucking drunk. You can tell.
He is.
He's just sitting there like, I was talking to Michael. I'm like, how stupid this is. Like, wouldn't it be a lot easier just to teach astronauts, fucking rocket scientists, how to drill a hole than it would be to teach some rednecks how to go up in space? He's like, just shut the fuck up, Ben.
Great.
Fuck.
I miss those good old
Beta
days.
was Sony's fault. Honestly, was it better than VHS? In some ways, yes. Overall, quality-wise, minimal at best.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people have done tests over the years, especially now that we have, analyzers that we never used to have to kind of actually analyze these things mathematically.
Yeah.
And they kind of learned that, basically you get about the same amount of spectrum of color and all that kind of shit out of beta that you did out of VHS.
And VHS could hold more than beta.
Yeah. And honestly, the sound on VHS was better than Laserdisc. Most people don't realize.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had a much wider... these have been 10 times better than... Like, it actually had a wider range of highs and lows than your basic cassettes, records, in some cases even digital at that point. But digital is pretty far advanced. It got really good really fast. So anyway, moving on. Whose turn are we on?
I think
we're on
we're back
Rook's,
on Rook, yeah. Rook, are you ready?
Yep.
What kind of are you going to thrill us with now?
I was trying to imagine what a laser disc actually is, because I'm like, a disc, it's a disc, right? And a DVD, like, what's the difference between a laser disc and a DVD?
Big difference. Laserdisc is technically still analog, even though it's being read with a laser beam. It's still an analog format.
Oh, so it's like how it like transfers the actual sound and everything or something.
Yeah, it's still
monitor,
technically not digital. It's not like it's pits and lands or whatever. So it's similar to digital. It runs on the same kind of idea.
I got you.
But they didn't really implement anything digital until they got digital sound on it, which was basically the same as a CD. And that's kind of like, a Laserdisc and DVD are really similar in the amount of quality. DVD was a little bit better because it had a little bit wider range as far as like the amount of space you can fit on it. Digitally, you could fit a lot more information than you could on a Laserdisc, obviously, just from the size point of view. But just in the actual compression that you put, the way they were made, the video looked much better on a DVD. In fact, a lot of the early DVDs were just rips of the Laserdiscs put on a DVD. They really didn't go that far. It wasn't until like you got some DVDs now, like that Greg and I have talked about, that actually are pretty goddamn good. They look almost HD quality, and that's because they did a pretty good job in mastering them. But some of the older ones back in the day, there was a while where there were some people that were either discernible from Laserdisc, or some people would even argue that Laserdisc was still better, especially on old analog televisions. Because, you could argue that, there is certain things that come into play when it comes to digital versus analog. You would get blocking and other digital artifacts on DVD that you wouldn't get on Laserdisc, for instance. But Laserdisc was a lot more fragile. And didn't have anamorphic. They did work a way that they had stretch screen later on, but you basically had to have a widescreen TV that would stretch it out for you. So
I got you. A lot more limited in what it can do, and more fragile for collectors to hold on to. Sounds like more likely to break.
Big old disc too, like a record. You had to flip it over.
And Joey said it best.
Like
Laserdisc was basically the original RF broadcast quality signal.
Oh, wow.
Like a lot of the stuff that you used to see on TV back in the day ran off of the same kind of format, basically. And the audio format was pretty good too. DVD got better, but DVD actually went downgraded, I think, because I think they had full-fledged CD quality audio on Laserdisc, as opposed to when you jump up to DVD, they brought it down to like MP3 rates, which I don't know if that means anything to you, but it's like they basically compress the audio down to a much smaller file.
Okay.
Yep.
Dang.
Right.
Nice.
So,
I did not know that. I didn't know it was giant. I didn't know it was giant.
Yeah,
essentially.
there's
They're the same size as a record, basically. Yeah.
Trying to imagine a giant
Plus, you had to
DVD player.
flip them. Plus, you had to flip them depending on which, if they were in CLV or CAV, because one format you could have, I think it's only 30 minutes per one side, and the other one you could have an hour per side or whatever. So, but if you had the 30-minute per side, then you can actually have the freeze frames, as opposed to if you didn't, you couldn't get perfect freeze frames. So yeah,
Okay,
Yep.
that's
cool.
basically it.
That's cool. But I'm bringing on Edge of Tomorrow or Live, Die, Repeat. I don't know if that was actually like a second title that they called it, or if that's just the tagline that's most associated with Edge of Tomorrow.
I think Edge of Tomorrow was its theatrical title.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I liked it. There's things in this that I don't like, but there's things that I like as well. I was going back and forth on a lot of my thoughts on this as I was watching it. I like how the aliens in this are not a humanoid like type of thing, because we get those like so often. I like seeing more creative non-human like structure, like, you know, alien designs and stuff. But I also hate the aliens because they're just CGI tentacly goop that is not even on, it's not on frame for like more than, it's just like always moving around. You can't get a good look at it. It's like bluish orange colors. It's like Transformers at its worst type of visuals for the actual aliens. That annoys the shit out of me with it. But I do like that it's not typical humanoid aliens that they're fighting. I like the concept with it being like a time loop that he's kind of stuck in. And that it's kind of like a video game ish where these specific things happen. It's like Groundhog's Day, but it's in the context of there's a huge battle that they got to face, and he's got to learn all these different things. There's so many things in the movie that I like and don't like. It's insane. Like, I was going back and forth on it the whole time. But throughout most of the middle, I was on board with what they were doing, because it's an interesting type of mentality to think of somebody who has to get, in order to reset, he's got to get killed every time. And you're going into battle, you're trying to do things, you're trying to strategize, you're trying to keep track of people. And there's this one other person that has gone through this before as well. It's also weird. The way that you get this ability is blood from a blue alien that you can kill. And if you get its blood on you, it gives you this power. That it's one of those sci-fi things that I guess you just got to kind of roll with. But I feel like they could think it a little better and come up with better ways for it to happen. So it's not as kind of ridiculous. You think this thing wouldn't be on the battlefield so vulnerable if this can happen, and if it has happened before, which it has, you'd think they'd have come up with a way to, deal with it. Have you guys seen the movie? I'm not trying to walk through the story like I do with a lot of things. I'm trying to just get to things I want to talk about with it, but I also assumed you guys seen it. So
I have not seen this movie.
Okay.
I've never seen it. No.
I've seen it. It's all right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
it's a
kind of where
hard
I'm
sell.
at. I've been going
That's the
back
problem.
And forth. I don't know where to be at with it.
Like, I mean, basically when it came out, people were selling it like it's basically Groundhog's Day as a sci-fi movie.
That's a horrible.
I kind of felt like basically like it was Groundhog's Day meets Starship Troopers is what I would say. That's probably the best way to describe it.
It's a time loop.
It's not a comedy. It's not a comedy.
I feel like when you say Groundhog's Day, you think of a comedy and you think of him. And
I'm talking about the actual time loop aspect of it, where you got to keep reliving the same day over and over and over and over again. Yeah. But yeah, in this respect, it's like.
It's more like a video game sort of.
It is. It does. And that's where I said it's kind of like that kind of concept meets Starship Troopers with Tom Cruise. That's really what it is. And it's not bad. It's actually one of his better films in the last decade or so. But
it's got a great concept for it. There's just so many things
it's just a hard
around it. There's so many things around it that I feel is unnecessary. I feel like at the very beginning, they do the cliche, here's news reports of an alien species that's invading, blah, 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 all that crap. And it's like, I feel like there's a point that like where when he wakes up and he's confused about what's going on and stuff, that should have been kind of where we are, because we learn about all this stuff throughout the movie anyway, about him and characters and the situation, all these different things. It'd be more interesting to learn about what's going on to the degree with him because the information they tell us at the beginning is relayed again throughout the movie. So it's just one of those things that it's a peeve when they have a cliche thing that they want to do. And the decision, one of the plot elements is like, so he's a guy, I forget specifically what he's trying to do at the beginning, but they label him as a like treason. He's like a traitor. He's trying to desert. He's a deserter. And so they are punishing him by sending him into battle into these exosuits that they have to fight these aliens that they're trying to win a war with. And they think that this next battle is going to be like their final one. But it's like, if you had a criminal, or if you had somebody, why would you put them in this super expensive exosuit? And why would you want him on the battlefield with you? Like they don't know who he is. He's trying to get away from them.
Yeah.
It's really dumb. Like with that, like you have to get past that kind of thing to be more on board with it. It's like, if I don't know, if you had like somebody who definitely doesn't want to be there with you, and you give him this exosuit where he's meant to kill people, they also don't tell him how it works. He gets no training in it. He's in it the next day and is on the battlefield. Like, that's really dumb. Like, that part's really dumb. The parts that are good, that are really good about this is him living through this experience where he gets reset, he gets killed, he goes on the battlefield, he goes through all these things, and he finds this one girl. Like, this one girl is the most popular, one at all, most known for killing these aliens. Essentially, they even call her like the Full Metal Bitch or something. Some people don't like her, but she's like one of the highest kill rate of these aliens and stuff, highest kill count basically, and because she's actually gone through the same thing he has, but she had blood drawn from her. She got knocked out, blood drawn away from her, and then can't do the ability anymore, I guess. But don't know how you know that you can't do it anymore unless you get killed and die, because it's based on getting killed. You reset when you get killed. There's not like a certain time point. It's just when you get killed, it's when you reset back to that point. So it's some of these plot details make it iffy for me, but they do really good with following this character. And he's going through this stuff, and she's the only one that'll listen to him, and he just walks up, and if he talks to her, he doesn't have to explain himself entirely every day. She'll see him and know, okay, we got to do this, but he has to still kind of reset some information to her each time, and she's going to help train him, and so he's able to do this for who knows how long, who knows how many times he's like died and gone through this, but he pretty much loves her at some point. Of course, he's spending all his time with her, but she hasn't experienced all the same stuff that he has, because she resets every time, but without remembering what has happened before. So it's kind of like a 50 First Dates kind of scenario in a way with that, where he gets to know her really well. Wait. She doesn't get to know him very well.
I was going to say, you compared it to 50 First Dates, but you didn't like comparing it to Groundhog's Day.
Well, the situation, I don't know. I don't think anybody's compared it to 50 First Dates, and I'm just saying nobody talks about the love relationship very much when they're talking about the movie overall, which that's like a secondary element to talk about it with. So that's what I'd bring up. Yeah, you got a member
because in that respect, it's still a lot like Groundhog's Day in a sense that Bill Murray knows, the what's her face. Andy McDowell character.
If it surprises you, I haven't seen
and is in love with her.
So I don't know.
Are you fucking serious? I know why he's like, I wouldn't keep saying. Like, if you've seen this movie, there's a reason why people say it's Groundhog's Day.
Okay.
Only a sci-fi version of it. Because you get to a point in Groundhog's Day where he's literally like in love and pining for this woman who thinks he's a fucking jerk.
Yeah.
Because she's only known him for one day. He, on the other hand, as he points out at one point, has seen her every day, day in, day out, for God knows how long. He literally knows every curve of her face, loves everything about her, knows everything about her. He's mastered all these things around him and all this other shit, and he can't figure out a way to get out of this fucking time loop. Right, like that's kind of way.
Okay, I had no idea that's what it was about.
It's like it does have comedic elements, but it gets dark in some spots. Like he tries to kill himself like fucking 10,000 times, like
over and over multiple times in Groundhog's Day.
Because he just gets sick and tired of it. He just walks in front of a train. He's like, bye bye, just boom, and shit like that.
Building a toaster in the bathtub. Yeah, it gets actually pretty dark in Groundhog's Day. Actually, it's so much more than.
To be fair, whenever people mention Groundhog's Day, when do they go, and the relationship part? Nobody mentions that. So
well,
I had no
actually,
idea
that's kind of the whole point of it. Is he's his whole character arc is he starts the movie out as this complete self-absorbed asshole.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the film, he becomes the most beloved guy in town, and this woman who wouldn't normally give him the time of day in that sense is also in love with him because he becomes a good man, right? Like that's the entire arc of him in Groundhog's Day. So in that respect, like there's all these little things in this movie that, like, when I say it's basically take Starship Troopers and mash it with Groundhog's Day and pull out all the comedy, that's this movie.
Fair enough.
And the only difference this movie is it actually gives you an explanation as to why he's in this time loop. That's basically the big difference. Because in Groundhog's Day, one of his big quandaries is he's like, why? Like, why am I stuck in this fucking day?
In a way,
over and over again.
I would have preferred us not know the specifics of how Tom Cruise is in this time loop, because that's part of what makes it kind of dumb. Is like this special alien that is like very rare. It's like 1 in a million. And it's on the battlefield and it commands its troops. And
I would have thought it been better.
To kill it. Its blood gets on him.
Yeah,
and now
see,
he's
that's
got
the
this,
part I thought was silly.
So dumb. That's so
I thought it should have been a piece of technology they had as like a fail safe or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? And he just happens to be the guy who ended up using it because, like, it should have been like some happenstance thing. Like it's attached to some kind of like.
Everyone else is trying to kill the aliens. He's trying to get the fuck out of there. You
Exactly.
can imagine him stumbling
Which
into
is
something
fine
on accident.
Yeah.
That would be better. That would be better.
Exactly my point. So like this guy, he's sitting there. He's like, the nuke's about to go off. This is the fail safe. If it doesn't work, you hit this button and you'll go back because the guy's like dying or something. He's like, it's supposed to be his job to know this and to be able to handle it every time, you know. And he's like, I've done it 6 times now, but I'm not going to make it back this time. Here, that would have made more sense. And he's like, I don't want to fucking do this. What the hell do you mean? Like,
well, something. I mean, I'm okay. I like it.
It's a time loop that only works in like, and that's the other thing is you kind of add like a ticking time clock to it then too, is like it only goes back 48 hours. So he only has a limited amount of time to kind of get.
That was the one thing I wasn't sure of. I'm like, could it go so far?
Yeah, that's where I didn't like about the movie.
Not? Like,
that's what I'm saying is they should have made it a mechanic like that. That's my only complaint about the film, because then you set yourself up in a situation where, okay, they know it's like this man-made technology, or it's a technology they created in the future or whatever, that does give you a chance to go into a time loop of sorts until you unset it or whatever. Like you're constantly in this time loop or whatever. But then if you have the dying part to be a part of it, maybe that's the first time. So he's dying on the first round, so he didn't even get himself to go for the first round. And that's where he said, like, Tom Cruise is the one who gets stuck in this time loop, and he doesn't want to be there. He's not trained for this shit. The other guy was supposed to know exactly how to do this. If, like, something failed, he knew exactly how to fix it this time around, and blah, 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 blah. The untrained guy died. It's his job. That makes more sense. He's on this ticking time clock. You only got 48 hours. So if he dies later than he does the other times or something like that, or he loops back later than the other times, then something gets fucked up. See, there's ways you can play with that, but I thought
it was like he has to die before a certain time, otherwise he'll reset closer to when he died rather than further back where he goes. I like the element though with Emily Blunt where she's gone through it before and can't do it anymore. I don't like the reasoning for it really, but in a way it's like, okay, she explained it where she got knocked out and then they drew her blood. I like where she wasn't able to kill herself in the situation. And so it was okay. So she wasn't able to do it again, but I feel like she wouldn't know that for sure unless it was tested. Well, that's the one thing that's weird because she says she knows that she can't do it again, but you only know the one way, right? Like, how do you know you reset or not? Unless
there was things about the movie that just didn't quite make sense to me, but
the movie, as much as there's problems with the movie, there's a lot of good stuff with it. It's a good watch. It's
fun.
And thinking about what Tom Cruise's character is going through in this, but especially when you're like over halfway through the movie, it's like, damn, this guy, you feel a lot for him going through this, and he's just in this whole situation where it's basically. He's stuck repeating moments before Armageddon, essentially, and he's trying to figure out a way to stop it, to somehow make the difference. And Like that
and
is
I'm fine with that. That's a fine setup. But the whole thing with the alien blood and all that stuff, I'm with you. It's kind of nonsensical.
Well, and also when it gets to the like final climactic battle kind of stuff, that just goes into total like it feels like Transformers schlock kind of thing where it's just shooting exoskeletons and random aliens popping up, and it's just like but it looks so gross. Like it's not like cool looking aliens. It's not like it's not shot in a way that is meant to focus on it in a good way. You know, it's very crazy, blah 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 blah. You know, flashy in a way that it's not comfortable to look at. It's not pleasing to look at when you're watching it. And I kind of was tuning out at that point. And it was like past most of the emotional beats of the film at that point. Anyway, just kind of waiting for this to happen. They win, okay, whatever. But that was the other thing too. I kind of wish it ended on a more ambiguous ending where we're not sure if he's done or if they won. I'd rather it have been that instead of like yeah, we win, yay, and then he goes and says hi to her, and then then it ends like with him about to have a conversation with her after they've won the war, basically. It's like I would have rather it been more iffy on whether or not they won. It would have made it a little bit better.
Yeah,
but I recommend the movie, and I'd like to hear more people's thoughts on it. You know,
most people out in the chat liked it. But I do want to get this members chat real quick from Tim Hayes, who's been a member for 24 months. Thank you very much, Tim Hayes. I appreciate you. He said, "Hell, guys," and you know what? For being a member for that long, you get this.
Can you say USA all night?
No, but I can watch you say it all night.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Yeah. No. I recommend the movie. I like a lot of the movie, but I'm so unbalanced on how I feel about it overall because, like, as we're discussing, there's a lot of things in it that are kind of meh, you know, and could have been done a little better. But
yeah. Well, I've not seen it. I know a lot of people actually do like the movie, but I've never, like I said before, I've never been a huge Tom Cruise fan.
Neither am I, honestly. I respect him for like loving the craft and doing stunts himself, but I don't typically care for whatever he's in. I don't watch anything because Tom Cruise is in it. Like, no, well, what's the movie? You know, it's where I'd get. He's not one of my favorite actors.
I get you. All right, well, let's move on to you, Tom. What do you got for us for your next pick of the night, if you're ready?
Yeah, let's see here. Where do I go from there?
Whatever feels right.
Well, there's two places I can go. And this might actually set up the next one. So, this is a movie I had not seen in many years, and I just got the inkling to see it, and it just so happened to pop up on the Blu-ray on sale thingy on the Blu-ray app for Blu-ray.com, and it is Tim Burton's Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks.
Yes,
I almost wanted to watch it after watching Ed Wood.
Yeah, I'd probably get back around to watching that again at some point here too. But no, it held up a lot better than I remember it. I think this movie was released at the wrong time, unfortunately. Had it come a year later, it might have done much better because, you know, for those who don't know, it opened up right around the same time as Independence Day and having almost the same exact plot.
Yeah.
You have one movie which is a serious take on the classic disaster films about aliens invading and destroying the world. You also have on the other side a satirical take on disaster films about aliens taking over the world. They're literally the same movie, just one's the comedy version, the other one's the more serious summer blockbuster version of it. And yeah, because of that, this movie gets lost in the shuffle. And it's sad because it's not even really one of those cases where, you know, this one studio did something and it's like, well, we'll do a volcano movie. Well, we'll do a comet or asteroid movie. Well, we'll do a, you know, insert your whatever here movie. It just so happened to be that these two movies came into development and out at the same-ish time. And this is a movie that I cite as the reason why I think Tim Burton kind of went off the rails. My reasoning behind that is that I think every director that kind of starts to phone it in or gives up or just starts to kind of just do it for the paycheck has a very, very, has a movie that's very, very seriously close to them or something that means a lot to them and it flops or it doesn't get well received by the critics or what have you. And then from there on out, they just say, fuck it and go through the motions. I think this is that movie for Tim Burton. Because if you notice, from this point on, he's only got a handful of films that are worth a shit. And almost all of his films from this point on are either remakes or reboots or sequels or what have yous. Right?
Yeah.
Actually, he hasn't done too many sequels, so I can't say that. But like, you know, you got Planet of the Apes, you got Dumbo, you got Alice in Wonderland, you got Sweeney Todd, which is an adaptation of a musical.
Yeah.
You know, like even Sleepy Hollow, one of his better films, is still technically an adaptation.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, he kind of, every original bone kind of went out of his body. Even Big Fish is an adaptation of a book, even though that was one of the few things he did get noticed for, you know, after this. But, you know, it was just felt like he really was just kind of phoning it in post this movie in a lot of times. Maybe I can't remember if Ed Wood came out before or after this one, but that might be the other exception.
I think Ed Wood came out before.
I think
it came
just
out
before. I think the year before. Or so.
Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, so you had this movie come out and do that to him, and I hope he's going to get his mojo back with Beetlejuice. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It holds up okay on Blu-ray. In fact, it looks so good, it might even come from a 4K scan, but there's like zero fucking special features on this thing whatsoever.
Another one, right?
Which I remember, I think when the DVD came out back in the day, there was none too, but it was like one of the first DVDs to ever come out.
Yeah.
Because I remember having it, but no, it's a good film. It's fun. The effects still hold up pretty well considering it's, I think, one of the first times Tim Burton really started using CGI a lot instead of more practical effects, although there is some practical effects. You got a great cast. Like I said, it kind of emulates the whole disaster film element, so you do have that part of it too. The only part of the cast I didn't really care for is Sarah Jessica Parker. But it's kind of funny what happens to her. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. I always want to say Sarah Michelle Gellar too. I don't know why, but I do.
Well, yeah, and then it sucks because Michael J. Fox is only in like a third of the film. But yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's a fun film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's obviously based on the old Mars Attacks Topps comic cards, Topps trading cards. I meant to say. So yeah,
they trading cards for this.
Yeah, that's what's based on is an old trading card set from Topps called Mars Attacks, where it's just basically cards of like army men fighting Martians. That's all it was.
It's crazy. The movie is insane though. It is a fun movie. Yeah.
I have not seen it.
It's got like the most absurd cast in it. That
no birds,
but it works. It's got Tom Jones. Isn't Jim Brown in it? Jim Brown's in it, right?
Yep, he plays a boxer who works at a casino.
Jim Brown, Michael J. Fox.
And of course, most of it takes place in Las Vegas, which is another hallmark of disaster film.
Yeah.
So it has all these disaster. You even have like the character like the redneck characters in Independence Day. Jack Black and his brother Lucas Haas and their parents. It's like you got it is. It's like literally it is. I can understand where Tim Burton was just like, no, you fuckers! Like, why would you do this to me of all times? You know, like because this could have been that. You know, but I think if he just waited, if they would have if Warner Brothers should have got cold feet, they should have been like, you know what, we need to hold this off till Christmas, especially considering the big boom that Independence Day was. Think about coming this out at Christmas, like making fun of that.
Yeah,
I think would have been perfect. But it would have had such great competition at Christmas. I don't think it would have mattered. So
yeah,
because it would have went up against like Beavis and Butthead and some other shit. So like yeah, from what I remember.
Yeah, it's just one of those movies that just hit out at the wrong time, and there was really no spot for it that year. But I do think as like people have grown to love it more. It's another one of those movies where people have come back to it and have like reassessed it and thought, you know what, this movie really ain't
It
so
does
bad.
have some issues. Don't get me wrong. It does
Yeah,
have.
it's good. The CGI
But I mean,
in it was
yeah, that's probably the least part of it. Like otherwise, though, I mean, it has aged like a fine wine, especially when you look at Independence Day and how hokey that has become. This kind of, on the other hand, has gained a bit more of prestige, in my opinion. To where it's like, I can look at this now and I get the charm of it. I get what Burton was doing. At the time, I dismissed it, and I feel bad about that. But I don't even think I saw it in theaters, to be honest with you. I just totally ignored it. I saw it on video, and that was it once or twice. And I think I had the DVD, and I saw that once or twice. And I was just like, yeah, you know, it's just that movie.
yeah. I might have saw it in theaters. I don't remember. I don't remember how I first saw it, but I remember seeing it when it was new. I don't remember. I might have saw it in theaters, but yeah, it's a fun little movie. All right. Well, I guess we'll head to me. I don't really have nothing to go off of space movies.
Well, considering who directed it, did you guys have one you were going to talk about this week?
No, I don't. I don't have that one. No.
Oh, you didn't bring it? Okay.
No, I don't have. I haven't watched it. That's why I was asking if you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it a bunch of times, but I just haven't watched it yet. I'm sticking to sort of an action 90s action that I just got. I got the Kino Sudden Death Van Damme.
I haven't got that
4K.
yet.
So it doesn't look bad. It looks pretty good. Some of the establishing shots on outside where it's stock footage was a little soft. In the 4K, you kind of see it. You know, it's not quite matches the rest of the film, but it works. It's good. This is a crazy Van
That kind
Damme
of
movie.
reminds me of one I'll be bringing up here in a minute, but continue.
Yeah. So Van Damme was a firefighter, and at the beginning of the movie, and he loses, a kid, and so he basically he's done being a firefighter, and it jumps ahead like 2 years later, and now he's the fire marshal for the it's in Seattle, the I can't remember the name of the building, but he's fire marshal, and he's going to do the Stanley Cup game. It's going to be the Penguins versus the I can't remember the names of the team. Anyways,
We'll just say it's the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, the Penguins versus somebody. So, and he's going to take his daughter, his little daughter, and his son to the game. He's divorced from his wife. He's a bit of a head case after what happened to him. So he goes there, and so the vice president is coming to watch the Stanley Cup Finals. And Powers Booth, who is fucking amazing in this movie as the bad guy, basically kidnaps the vice president up in his booth, and he's planting bombs all over the arena. And if he doesn't get his damn money, he's going to blow everybody up and kill everybody. It's very much in the vein of like Die Hard. This is Die Hard at a hockey game. So Van Damme, being Van Damme, interrupts the guy's plans, goes around, starts trying to stop the bombs, and they end up kidnapping his daughter. And so he's got to get his daughter back, and his son stays in the seat the whole time. And that's the plot of the movie. So he's going around kicking bad guys' asses and stopping bombs and trying to stop Powers Booth. And this is actually a much more subdued Van Damme. He doesn't even do the splits in this movie. And that's like something Van Damme does in every one of his movies. He's always got to do those splits. So he doesn't do the splits in this movie. So that's and he doesn't fight as much as he usually does. He's a little more subdued, a little more everyman, a little more average in this, but still, Van Damme. But that's the sin of the movie. And Powers Booth is really, really great as the villain in this movie. But it gets crazy, it gets goofy. They fight on the roof of the building with the thing opening up, the stadium opening up. A helicopter goes straight up and down as it crashes. It's slow motion, goes straight down, and they stare at each other in the window as the helicopter's going down. It's insane. But it's a fun movie. 4K looks pretty good from Kino. Once again, Kino's it's pretty cheap. So I paid like $25 for it, but I think it's depending on where you buy it, it could be 26, 27, but I paid 25. It doesn't look bad. It's got audio commentary by action film historian Mike Leader and UK cult movie director Ross Boyask. Vintage interview clips with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Peter Hyams, Powers Booth, and Ross Mangler. Behind-the-scenes footage from back in the day, and theatrical trailer and TV spot. That's all it's really got. Yeah, there you go. It's the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Chicago Blackhawks. That's what it was. But yeah,
Close enough.
Yeah, it's close enough. But yeah, it's very much in the vein of Die Hard. I mean, Powers Booth and they like, oh, are they terrorists?
It's Die Hard with the splits.
It's Die Hard, but he doesn't do the splits in the movie, not once.
Fail.
That's why I said it's a much more subdued Van Damme.
It's probably why I haven't watched it since it came out.
He's a little more John McClane-esque in this than he is Van Damme-esque in this. But he's still Van Damme, so he's not quite pulling it off like Bruce Willis would have. But it's fun, it's cheesy, it's over the top, it's good action. Yeah, they fight as the mascot. Yeah, that's like the biggest fight in the movie. He fights a woman dressed as the Penguins mascot, and she kicks his ass. That's like the biggest fight in the movie. But it's a fun movie. The 4K looks good, and I do recommend it. It's I can't say it's like the best. There are some soft spots in it, but the grain is still there, and it looks good. It looks good for the most part. So, no, Powers Booth is no Hans Gruber, but he's really well. I mean, he's very sophisticated in this movie because like once again they play him off like it's just terrorists. No, it's just they're robbing. They want money. And so he's very smooth, and he wears the suit. He's very sort of Hans Gruber-esque, but he's also very smart. And he also maybe he worked for the government. Maybe he works for the government, and that's why he knows how to get to the vice president and the money and the bank accounts and all that. So it's a little different that way. But yeah, there you have it. There's my second pick of the night. Now we got to figure out how to do this because I got one left and Rook's got one left, and you've got 4, right?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
Probably do Tom next, and then me, and then Tom, and then you, or something.
Yeah, we can do that if you're ready, Tom.
On with it. He's not ready.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide. Shut up.
Eeny, meeny, miny, the middle one.
I'm trying to decide where to go from there.
Middle
since
left.
As a kid. All right, let's do. This is one I hadn't watched in a while, and I couldn't find my Blu-ray copy for some reason.
What was that?
This is the Steelbook of Leon the Professional. And yeah, so I checked this one out in 4K, and it looks amazing. Holy shit! They did a great job. Sony did of remastering this one. I watched the extended cut this time, and I got to tell you, I guess I still think I probably lean more towards the theatrical cut. I'm not really one who digs all the excessive scenes with her trying to get in his pants. It's just kind of weird. I mean, yeah, some of that stuff's still in the theatrical cut, but I think from here on out, I'll probably just watch the theatrical cut. It's not worth the extra 20 minutes, I don't think.
There are cases where theatrical is better than whatever extra stuff.
And this might be one, because I used to be the other way around. I think when I first saw Leon back in the day, I was like, oh my God, that's a completely different film. But now watching it again this time, and it's been a little while, it's been a tick. And I think I watched it on Blu-ray a while back here not too long ago. Like 4 or 5 years ago. And even then I would have watched it in just the Leon version. But watching it this time, for some reason, I'm just like, maybe. And then I flipped it over and I watched the theatrical cut and kind of scanned through a lot of it just to see what was in there and what wasn't in there from memory. And I'm just like, yeah, considering I don't think we need most of that shit. It's unnecessary, and it kind of adds a weird layer to the movie. So yeah, I mean, frankly,
yeah, we don't. Yeah, let's not.
Has anybody seen this besides me? Oh, I was gonna say I knew Rook probably hadn't seen it.
I don't think I've actually ever seen the movie.
You've never seen it? Oh my God!
All the way through. All the way through.
Okay, what's hard about it is just to kind of explain what the movie is about. Kind of gives away most of the plot.
I mean, I know about you know, how Natalie Portman and him get
Yeah, see, that's the
together and all
problem.
that.
Okay, so Leon is the professional. He's a cleaner. And that's basically a
Know
professional
all
killer.
that. Yeah.
And he's this he's Italian guy, even though he's played by, I believe, a French actor, Jean Reno.
Yeah.
And it also has young Natalie Portman in it, and great performance by what's his face Dracula. Gary Oldman.
Yeah. Gary.
Yeah, and Danny Aiello's in it. So yeah, basically what it's about is this cleaner who lives a pretty simplified life. You don't get much about his past other than he ran into some trouble in Italy over a woman, and he came to America to hide, and he kills for a living, and he's very, 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 very good at what he does. And that's about all he does. He comes home and he takes care of his plant, and he sleeps and he goes to work. Well, his neighbor is played by Natalie Portman, and her family is a troubled family. And basically they get gunned down over a drug deal gone bad. And she just happens to survive because she wasn't at the house. And what really bothers her is they killed her little brother as well in the process of it all. And luckily, Leon helps her survive that incident, because as she's coming home and she sees the guys there, he lets her come right into his apartment instead of going to hers. And so from there on out, though, she wants to become a cleaner, and she tries to pay him and everything else to try and bribe him to teach her. And that's kind of the basic setup. And like I said, if I tell you any more, then it is really spoiling the film, because I mean that's like the first 30 minutes of the movie there. Like that's the basic setup, and then from there on out, it's the middle leading into the climax. So
yeah. I mean, like I said, I can't say that I've seen it all, because I haven't, but I've seen basically what you've described and some other stuff of it. I just never got it. I never got into the movie. That's the truth. So that's why. But I know.
Have you seen the American version first, or were you watching the other version?
I've seen the regular theatrical American version. Whatever.
I was gonna say, because the American version, I think most people would probably like better if they're Western influence. Because the other version feels very French and weird. Yeah. It's from the same director who went on to do like Fifth Element and Everyone.
I do know that. I've seen that. Everyone. Yeah, Luc Besson. Besson, right? Yeah. That's the name, right? Yeah. I know. Didn't somebody release this in a big set not too long ago?
I think that's what Random Brad might be talking about, the Nova Media version. I don't know what the difference is.
I'm just where do you talk about it? I gotta find it.
I hear the Nova Media version is the one to get.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, maybe that's the one. I don't know, because I know they did a big box set of it with a bunch of stuff to it. So I don't know. Don't know what's in it.
I mean, I don't necessarily need a buttload of extras on this thing. I mean, there's a few things on here.
Do you think Danny Aiello's character was scamming Leon?
No, not really.
Cool. All right.
No, I think he was genuinely looking out for him.
Just trying to kick it.
No, he keeps his money. He gives him advice and shit like that. I mean, he still lets him do whatever he wants to do. And I'm sure Leon has a lot of money. The sad part is we still haven't got the proposed sequel that's been talked about for years and years and years. Natalie Portman ain't getting no younger. So
yeah, she's pretty old now. I mean, it'd be a lot better seeing her as a grown woman.
Well, yeah, of course. Just probably be called Matilda, the professional.
Yeah, Matilda. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, guess we'll move on to Rook if you're cool with that.
What do you want me to do another one?
You see, you got
3 left after this.
Yeah, go ahead, do another one, and then we'll.
All right, in a similar vein-ish, I guess. I got the Shit Factory version of the Delta Force.
Oh yeah.
The movie itself looks pretty good. This is the one I was talking about with the stock footage, like you brought up. Yeah, this movie has a similar issue. Like whenever they use stock footage, you can totally tell. Now I have the old. I thought this was Shout Factory, but I guess it was Scorpion who did this release. So none of the special features that are on this are on here. Like this is a bone dry disc. And if Shit Factory, I'm gonna tell you all right now, if you have this version. I mean, this is from Scan of the I think it's the Interpositive scan.
Mm-hmm.
It actually looks fairly decent. It's not too bad. Yes, this looks leaps and bounds better. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But it ain't worth the fucking money they want for it. Wait till it goes on sale. It ain't worth no $30. Not, and there's nothing on it. There's absolutely nothing new other than, there's nothing. It's just a trailer on the Blu-ray.
That's it for 4K. All they give you is a trailer on it
on the Blu-ray, and then on in the Scorpion version has archival interviews with Robert Forster and Alan Jacobowitz, a brand new interview with the screenwriter. So like, yeah, at least there's a few things on there. And I don't know. I felt like I was kind of gypped for spending over $30 on a movie with nothing on it but the movie.
That's kind of, well, that's Shit Factory, Dick Factory, whatever you want to call them.
Shit Factory, yeah. I mean, that's the movie itself ridiculous. Is fine, you know, and the scan is actually pretty good. You know, I'm sure MGM, aka Amazon, is the one who provided it. Mm-hmm. That's generally how these work. Has both the 5.1 and 2.0 stereo track on it. It's a fun movie. It's different than I remember for some reason. For some reason, this movie feels like two different movies in one. Mm-hmm. It almost... Have you seen it before?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So, like, you have...
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut. I was going to say, I always get it confused a little bit with the missing in action movies a little bit.
I don't have that problem. I just feel like I think at one point when I was younger, when I actually have seen this way back in the day, I actually thought it was two different movies. Because I don't remember all the airplane shit being in the air. Like, all that stuff feels like, I mean, it feels like this had to be one of Cannon's most ambitious films at the time. Because the airplane section feels like a disaster film. I mean, you've got a hell of a cast here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you have basically, you're filling it out. Speaking of, like, you know, Independence Day and Mars Attacks, that's basically what it feels like, is you got a disaster film cast going on here for the first half of the film. Mm-hmm. Then the second half of the film is the standoff, basically. Yeah. See, and for some reason, it felt like those were two completely different movies to me. And it almost does still feel like two different movies, and I see why. Because it's been that long since I say it. But I do enjoy the film. It's a great film. Probably one of... Honestly, some of Chuck's probably best acting. He probably has some of the most lines he's ever had in a movie in this one, and compared to some of his other stuff. But I mean, he's acting off against like Lee Marvin and all that shit. That helps, I'm sure that's why. But you got like, Marvin. I mean, shit, the cast alone. I mean, you got Joey Bishop, Robert Forster, Kim Delaney, fucking George Kennedy's in it. Bo Svensson is in it. Fucking Robert Vaughn and Shelley Winters are in it. I mean, right there, those last few just make me feel like I'm reading off the cast of a disaster film.
Yeah, even Liam Neeson's in the movie.
Yeah, in a bit part. Yeah, and
just like
Ethan Hawke, is that the one? The one that was on Entourage.
Kevin Dillon.
That's what I was trying to think of. Yes, Kevin Dillon. Even he's young ass Kevin Dillon's in it as one of the members of the fucking Delta Squad too.
Yeah.
And the music, okay, the theme is good, but I hope you enjoy it because it plays over and over and over and over and over and over. And
got that music, man. They had to keep using it.
It's like they paid what's his face? Oh God, who was it that did the theme here? Alan Silvestri, I think it was. It's like they paid him to do one theme and that's it.
They paid good money.
No other music.
What they're gonna do. You know, I don't think I've ever actually seen Delta Force 2 though, because I know there's a sequel.
I do have it. Didn't get a chance to watch it yet though. So
yeah, I don't think I've ever actually seen part 2. So,
I watched the trailer and I'm just like,
It's not the same.
It almost feels like a movie that was probably something else completely, and they're just like, let's call it Delta Force 2 since they're like a Delta Squad or something similar. Yeah.
Probably. I know they was actually supposed to do like a sequel to Invasion USA, and they ended up not, but they used basically he plays the same character in a movie they did down the lane. I can't even remember what movie it was, but he's like basically the same guy, but it's a different movie. So
Yeah, there's at least one good shot of Kevin Dillon, Steven in it. He's babyface as hell in it, but yeah.
He says Delta Force 2 is nowhere near as good. So
Oh no, I kind of vaguely remember seeing Delta Force 2 on video. And I just remember it being like a straight to video fucking.
Yeah. I remember the poster, with the gun and him on the thing, but I don't think I've ever actually seen part 2 at all. I'd have to like maybe look at
the cover. Looks more like it's a sequel to the Octagon than it looks
right.
Like he's the only character in it. And I don't even know. Like I don't even, other than his name, I have no idea what other connections from my recall. I don't think there's hardly anything, if anything. That's what I'm saying. It feels like it was a movie that was completely written for something else, and they're just like, well, let's just make it a Delta Force movie.
Yeah.
Because it was at near the end of the line for canon. I know that.
Sounds crazy.
Because I don't even think Menachem is one of the producers on it.
Oh, yeah?
So I think this is after he left, even, from what I remember. Because I watched the trailer, and I'm just like, I don't remember seeing his name. I seen the Globus's name and the other guy, but I didn't see Menachem's name.
Interesting. But, I mean, it is a good... Delta Force is a good one. It's a good one. But I can't see paying $30 for just the movie.
Yeah, wait till it goes on fucking sale, man. Because is it one of Chuck Norris's better ones? Yes. Is it one of the ones that you should own if you're a fan? Yes. But for the amount of money that Shout Factory's charging for it compared to what I think I even paid for my Scorpion release here, so I think I got this one pretty cheap. So I don't know. I don't even know if that one's even in print anymore, to be honest with you. So it's just shit factory lately, man. Like, it has less to do with them even blocking me within just the fucking. I've been not buying a lot of their titles just because of the price.
Yeah, they've been one of the more expensive boutique labels.
And Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey pissed me off so badly. I don't know what the fuck they did to that.
I don't blame you, man. I haven't bought a Shout Factory disc in a while myself, and I was really wanting to get the Phantoms because I haven't seen.
And I don't think it's Amazon that did that, because any other Amazon one they give it anybody else looks fine so far.
Yeah. So it's that Studio Canal, isn't it, that did those?
Not the second Bill and Ted.
Not the second one.
No, but I think what they did, because I have a 4K digital scan of it, and that one came out way back when, before Amazon even bought MGM. And I don't think that ever was a full-on 4K scan. And it's grainy as fuck. So what they did is they tried to squash out a lot of that grain. And I think it's the exact same scan as before. I don't think it's a new scan at all.
Just an older rough scan where they messed it up.
I think so.
Nice.
And they just applied a bunch of DNR to try and make it look less grainy.
That's crazy. Media Archive Mike says there's a Delta Force 3. Chuck Norris did not return, but his son Mike Norris starred in that one. I didn't even know his son acted.
He's got a couple of sons, don't he?
Yeah.
Because isn't Aaron one of his sons too, or is that his brother? I can't remember now.
I think Aaron Norris's brother. He directs.
Is that his brother? Okay.
Yeah.
I can never remember which. I always get them swapped.
Yeah, that's his brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Yeah, so I got those two down. You guys can go now.
All right, Rook, let's see what you got.
Alrighty, I finally began my adventure on the Friday the 13th series. I went halfway on Elm Street, giving that a little rest for now. Going in, starting Friday the 13th. I'll say right off the bat, I love the music. The soundtrack in this is really good, just like with Elm Street. Like they have some banger music that help set the tone and stuff, and feel real good and whatnot. Bates.
No, wait.
Bates. Sorry, what the fuck? Sorry, Jason's
Bates.
mom. Whatever. I don't know why the fuck I said. No, because I'm making a comparison. I'm making a comparison in a sec. So I was thinking.
I was going to ask you,
when
did
I
you know
saw-
about the twist before you got to it?
Yeah, I knew about that. That was the mom and not him. It's one of those ones where. It's
and
just,
here's the part where
it's an
Rookie
internet
thinks he
thing.
discovered that it's
we
basically
know.
a twist on Psycho.
Well, no, I was going to ask you if that's a common.
Yeah, no, that's
comparison,
exactly what
it's
it is.
like a reverse Psycho where she's like, kill her, mommy, kill her, how kill her, baby, and
No, the writer flat out said he's like, yeah, I just basically took Psycho and I reversed it.
Okay, yeah, I was surprised by that being an element on top of it, so I liked that. That was a good little bit. It wasn't just she's just trying to kill them, and like she's
like, instead of the
psycho,
dead mom talking to the
psycho.
boy, it's the dead boy talking to the mom.
Right.
he
I'll get
flat
her,
out
baby.
admitted it.
Yeah. I could tell that was good. That was good. Overall, there's a lot of film techniques in here that I like, especially for the year that it came out. I assume, like
you know what the budget for that was?
I imagine it's a really small budget.
I think it was initially like $250,000, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look.
Yeah,
I could believe that. It felt like a really small company made it or something, like a really low budget.
It's
like
listed
really
at
low
$500,000, but I don't think they spent that much.
Probably. I noticed too, like I was expecting, I guess, based on like Nightmare on Elm Street and like the effects team that was on that, I was expecting like a similar comparison to the amount of gore in Friday the 13th. Way less, barely any blood, really. There's some, sure, like in some spots, but in more subtle ways they'll show it, or it's not the focus of like a kill or something. There's blood on a body after they're dead.
it's very much still going in the. Basically, Sean Cunningham was ripping off Halloween.
This came out after Halloween.
This came out after Halloween.
What year was Friday the 13th? Or I guess what year was Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Elm Street? Those like
Halloween was 1978.
Okay.
1980 for Friday the 13th, and I think 1984 for Nightmare on Elm Street. Let me see. It's either 84 or 1984.
84.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah.
But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Sean S. Cunningham and Craven worked together on Last House on the Left.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Craven helped. He either helped in second unit or editing on this movie, I believe. Because I don't think he gets a credit, but I think he gets a thanks credit in it, if I'm not mistaken. Because he did help a little bit on this one. But then Sean came on and was hanging out during Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think he ghost directed. Which scene was it? Because he was running second unit for Wes, but people complained about it.
What?
So I kind of put two and two together, because there's the story that goes around that Wes was shooting multiple units at the same time to try and finish Nightmare on Elm Street on time. And he basically had to shut down the second unit, or Robert Shea had to go over there and finish shooting second unit. One of those two, I think it was, because the actors and the people that were working were complaining about the second unit director that was doing that. Well, and then another story I heard is that Sean came over and helped Wes run second unit for a little bit. The little bit part translates to me is that he got told to leave because he was pissing people off. Because Sean is not a real easy guy to work for.
Yeah, he's been
okay. So there's this whole like George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola kind of thing, or whatever you want to call it, with Sean and Wes, where they've traded eights all throughout their careers, or whatever you call it, to work with each other, help each other out. But in this one instance, like, because he was the one guy, he also was like, just like, I don't get it, Wes. I don't think Nightmare on Elm Street's scary. It all happens in a dream.
Right, yeah, you mentioned that before, right?
He's like,
right.
The audience ain't gonna fucking get it. And here's Wes, like, heartbroken, because he's like, this is the guy who just made Friday the 13th telling me, which at that time was one of the biggest horror films of all time, right behind like Halloween and shit.
You had Grandma be the serial killer.
He's like, what the hell?
Yeah. But then Sean Cunningham also never liked the hockey mask or the machete.
No, well, his whole thing was, I want to do Halloween, but put it in the woods.
Yeah.
And that's basically what he told Victor Miller. And Victor Miller took that, ran with it, and then he came up with the idea of, okay, well, the twist at the end will be that you don't know who the killer is until the very, very end, and you find out it's this mother of this kid who died. And then, like you said, you picked up on the Psycho comparison, and that's really all it was. Right. So you have her literally going, "Kill her, mommy, kill her." You know, kind of like how Norman used to talk through his mom's voice. Yeah,
exactly. And Random Brad, I have seen Psycho, surprisingly, but I have seen Psycho. But yeah, I got more of it was like trying to connect because there wasn't. I think she gets her head chopped off by a machete, right?
Absolutely.
By the final survivor, right?
Yep.
But it wasn't. But like the weapon on there is the knife, not the machete. Yet.
The implication though is that Jason is watching and he sees that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he's like that. I'll use that in the sequel.
Well, he didn't want to do the sequel at all. So.
Yeah. Well, so that's what I was gonna say too. So when she's like, asleep on the boat, and then little boy pops out of the water and drags her down, I kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, why does this keep on happening in these movies? Like, yeah, but it's a dream. But then, is it though? Because Jason is in the rest of the movie.
Yes, it's a dream.
No, because Jason has already grown up. See, that's the thing is when you see Jason in Friday the 13th too, it's pretty obvious that he never died. He must have washed up down river somewhere and has been living on the other side of the lake all these years off the land. Yeah. And so when you see him in part 2, he's not a zombie yet. He's still just a regular guy. Yeah, he's kind of like as whatever Kevin Smith character, I can't remember which one it was. Was it Brody or whichever one? Randall or Brody? I think it was Randall. He's basically retard strong. That part's true. Yeah. But he's not he's not like invincible yet. It isn't until after part 4 when he gets resurrected in part 6.
Yeah.
And that's specifically, and because I even talked to the director. Did you ever get to talk to him too, Greg, or not?
Adam?
No, not Adam.
Or Tommy McLaughlin.
Yeah, Tommy.
I've never got to talk to Tommy.
Oh, Tommy's great. Tommy's fucking awesome. But yeah, he flat out admitted, that's what I was doing. It's Frankenstein. He's back from the dead. He's a zombie. Frankenstein. Yeah. It's because he's like, how do I bring this? He's dead. Like, fucker's dead. They chopped him up. Like,
yeah.
There's always a way. Always a way.
Always a way.
So from that moment on, that's the demarcation point, which is weird because you got part 5 in there, like the line basically, where you have the sets of fans who are like pro zombie Jason and the sets of fans that are anti zombie Jason.
I've seen the favorite iteration I've seen of him is in the fan film from Womp Stomp Productions. Honestly, when Freddy vs. Jason's for somehow used as like a protagonist vessel for the teenagers, right? Like we got to get him to fight Freddy
vs. Jason is fun, but that's the worst form, one of the worst forms of Jason.
And then I've seen Jason X. And
it is.
I don't know about whatever.
The only saving grace Jason has in Freddy vs. Jason is that scene in the fucking where he's hacking and slashing all those teenagers at the party.
Yeah, at the party.
That is the closest Jason gets to being Jason in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they make him way too sympathetic.
Well, so it's interesting because I've seen all these, and I've seen the one Friday the 13th, the one that was like 2009 or 12 or whatever. I forget what year. Still, I've seen that one, the reboot-ish one. And like where he's like he captures a chick that reminds him of his sister.
Yeah, that's
so going through going through in chronological order now, it'll be interesting how I perceive these because I have these other notions in my head already from these different ones from a fan films version of him and whatnot. But as far as this one goes, I like a lot of the cinematic qualities to it, especially thinking about, like you just said, the budget's super small for it. I like that, and for the year that it came out, and having this be sandwiched in between the years of Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, and I don't know what year the thing come out before Elm Street.
1982.
1982, yeah. So I don't know, like having this really low budget one come out around there, I think that's pretty cool, and that it stands out as like a very memorable one. But personally, I'm not a fan of this type of setup with the teenagers in the woods and somebody's going to kill them. It's just, there's not enough there for me to latch onto or chew on.
That's literally
personally.
every movie.
Well, yeah, but I
Compared
mean,
to,
in this case, I
like,
guess you
after
got
watching Elm Street and stuff where there's a lot there for me to get at and to chew
I see
on
where
while
you're
I'm
coming
watching
from,
it,
but I'll maybe if you look at it from this perspective of, okay, Freddy really doesn't deserve to get to do what he gets to do. Jason, on the other hand,
there's a little, in a way, a little bit more of like he was wronged in a way.
He was wronged,
so there's some vague element of,
you'll find yourself by the time you get to about
Yeah.
part 3, even in part 2 a little bit, but more so like part 3, part 4. By the time you get there, you realize that, okay, they figured out Jason is the star, basically, and the kids are the villains, because you want to see them die because they're all stupid little assholes.
Yeah, that's where the whole trope of that comes from.
And the only exception being like the final girl and like Tommy Jarvis, which is a kid in the first incarnation, we see him and such. So like you'll get into that kind of aspect of the movies once you get there. I think you'll kind of see how the franchise swung itself around to keeping relevant, even though they've got 10 fucking.
It'll be an interesting journey to see, because I was pleasantly surprised with Elm Street and how that progressed. I was very shocked.
This isn't as good as Elm Street.
I know. I probably shouldn't compare it to that directly. I'm not trying to.
I'm going to make a prediction though.
Yeah,
I think you will like the latter films more than you do the upfront films. I have a feeling you'll get to part 2 and you'll be like, yeah, it's a lot like part 1. You'll get to part 3, you'll be like, yeah, it's all right, but it's a lot like part 1 and 2. Then you get to part 4, you'll be like, yeah, it was better in part 3, but it was a lot like part 4, or part 3, I mean. And then you'll get to part 5 and you'll be like, what the fuck was that?
Wait till you see that one.
And then you'll be part 6 and you'll be like, that was pretty fucking cool. I laughed my ass off. I had a lot of fun with this movie. You get to part 7. It was kind of fun. It was kind of cool like part 6, but it's kind of weird. Then you get to part 8 and you'll be like, when is he going to get to Manhattan?
Jane
And then you see Jason Goes to Hell, and I have a feeling you're going to be like, I love this movie. Knowing you, for some fucked up reason, I think you're going to gravitate towards that movie.
That's the one everybody hates, I assume.
It is the one that most people hate, but the reason they hate it is because of how much lore and lore heavy that movie is. And that's why I think you're going to like it. Because I think that's the movie that's going to have all these answers and lore things in it that I think you're really going to get into, especially when you get into the Evil Dead connection. I think you're really going to click with that.
Okay.
And you know what's funny, and not to get too far into that, is like when I was watching Freddy's Dead, I never realized how much Freddy's Dead and Jason Goes to Hell have in common, with how much they explore both of the characters' backstories and add certain characters that were never there before. You know what I'm talking about, Tom? Because I don't want to spoil too much for the
to a point.
I never realized how similar they have. I mean, they're very different, but they also have very similar beats in the movie.
Yes, there's one character I have a major issue with in Jason Goes to Hell. Just one. But unfortunately, they're one of the main clinchers of the whole thing. And I don't like some of the stuff that's in it. I'm on the board of like in the middle of like, I don't hate Jason Goes to Hell. I'm of the mind of and I even said this to Adam. Like, I understand the movie's why it gets the hate it gets in so many words. I said it better to him, but I said, but I also appreciate the film for actually trying something different than being just the same shit over. And he's like, thank you. He's like, that's exactly what I was trying to do, you know, fail or swim, you know, or sink or swim. That's basically what he was trying to do, is something different. And he did. He accomplished that. You get a very fresh take on the character. You can tell they were trying to rebuild the character, more so leaning into like what they did, because New Line bought the character. And this was their road to getting Freddy versus Jason made, but they had to they wanted to build a lore and a background for Jason. And Jason Goes to Hell is kind of what they were trying to do. So they're like trying to build all this lore and stuff so they could have stuff to play with, you know, if they wanted to make more movies, which I don't even know why they tried calling it The Final Friday, Jason Goes to Hell, all that shit, other than they were trying to. I think that was more of a setup of trying, because Freddy's Dead worked and made them a buttload of money. So like kill him and send him to hell, and then that way we'll have a way of getting them together. Maybe they'll fight in hell, because like a lot of the earlier scripts always had something to do with them fighting in hell.
Yeah, and then they
Like,
bust out or something.
And they always started right out with the same way that Jason Goes to Hell ends. And when you get there, you'll see what we mean.
Is this all before AVP?
Yes.
Oh fuck yes!
Yeah.
Okay.
They had been trying to make They had tried to make a Freddy versus Jason movie since the 80s. Like, you don't understand.
Really?
When I said like 2 weeks ago or whatever it was when we were talking about this, when I said almost every major to minor screenwriter in Hollywood has done a pitch for Freddy versus Jason, I'm not fucking kidding.
Wow.
Like, everybody came in. I think even James Cameron gave a minor pitch at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he wasn't even thinking about doing it. But he's like, well, this is what I would do. You know, like, like
it'd be interesting to see what happens.
It was one of those things that was like King Kong versus Godzilla, Frankenstein versus Dracula. It's like it had to fuck. It was gonna happen.
Yeah,
we all knew it was gonna happen sooner or later. It was just a matter of getting the right script together, and they were such batshit crazy takes up to that point. The craziest being, I think, if I remember, I told you already, but I'll keep it brief. But like, basically where Freddy was the one who kills young Jason by drowning him because he didn't want him to tell on him for molesting him. Right?
Yeah.
Like, we go back that fucking far in these things to where
you mentioned
they tried every way they could to connect these things or to make Jason a good guy somehow. And to honestly, like, of all the ones I read, the one we got is probably the best one we were ever gonna get.
for Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, there's no real other way around it. The only way I think it could have been better had they just been able to get Ash involved somehow, and that would have been a better way to.
That sounds like that would
bring
be
the
like
characters
one of those mediators,
together.
like if you had a werewolf and a Dracula, and you have a human character like Van Helsing or something to be the, I don't know, the.
Well, Joey,
guy.
it's funny you ask, did Bill and Ted never meet Jason? At one point, Cheech and Chong almost met Jason.
Yeah.
They'd be perfect for him to kill.
They came a nut hair away from that movie. That was almost the sixth film. In fact, I think Tommy even talked about that was one of the things they were still bouncing around when he was brought in.
The matter of fact, Jason was almost used on the TV show Supernatural in an episode.
I could imagine that. They went like how many seasons with that show, and they were already.
Well, I think they were just lucky that Warner Brothers happened to own the character.
Yeah, Warner
Beat
Brothers.
the devil by season 4. Like
they couldn't clear it. They couldn't clear it to get him on the show because he was actually supposed to be in the show at one point, from what I heard.
That's interesting.
I'm glad you liked the first movie there, but I do think Tom's right, because you're going to think by the time you get to the fourth movie, it's repeating the same movie over and over. Yeah, well, however, the fourth movie is one of the ones that's really liked as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready for it. It's one of those things that
I just think that Rook's going to like Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X. I really do. For some reason, I think he's going to come back to us and go.
I've seen. I told you guys, I've seen Jason X.
Oh, you've seen Jason X? That's right.
I hate that movie.
Oh, you hate that movie?
I hate Jason X.
You won't after you see the rest of these.
Jason X was on TV, and I was like, "What the hell?" Sometimes sometimes when I'd cable, I'd watch whatever's on the Sci-Fi Channel to see what goofy mess we've got here. And it was either that or some other channel. Jason X was on. I've seen Jason X. I don't ever want to see it.
Oh, I fucking hate that movie, but
I hate it. It's like it seemed like at one point they like kill him, and then like nanobots or something like reform on him, and they just like back up again. And I'm just like, God, just end me. And it was funny because I think I saw Leprechaun in space around that time, and that was hilarious. Like the comparison, I'd rather watch Leprechaun in space than Jason X. Like,
he's gonna be one of the guys that likes Part 5. Like, he's gonna think Part 5 is a masterpiece.
He might. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you didn't like Jason Goes to Hell, but I wonder if you will after you see all the
I haven't
other
seen
movies.
Jason Goes to Hell.
Or I mean, Jason X. I meant. Sorry.
Yeah.
I actually like Jason Goes to Hell. I know it gets a lot of hate, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it like most people. So I can't say it's the best, but I don't hate it like most people.
Oh, I hated it when I still don't know.
Jason Goes to Hell. I mean, I like that one. I don't hate it like most people.
Yeah, Jason X though.
Seems like some in the chat likes Jason X.
I saw Jason X like a year before it came out.
Ace likes Jason X. I don't know. So I'm gonna rewatch Freddy and I'm gonna watch Jason X in my watch through of Friday the 13th because I'll have all the content, all different context.
So you've only watched the first one now.
Yeah, I brought
this bouncing around shit. I tell you, buddy.
I'm at my sister's place watching her cats for my vacation, basically, and I brought 4 of the Friday the 13th films with me to watch. I watched 1 for this week. I'll watch the other 3 for next week, and I have a couple other movies I'll watch too. I got
next Friday is Friday the 13th, by the way. So
yeah, that's why I'm starting to watch some of them to, be with that. Even though we won't have a show on that date, but it'll be around that time. So why not with it? And I'm expanding my horror genre with this stuff, guys.
Your horror horizons,
and I've had the movies for a while now. I've got them months ago, essentially, and starting to crack into them. But they're interesting.
They're fun.
So far, I highly prefer Elm Street over.
Oh, most
Friday
people
the
do.
13th.
Yeah,
there's so
only
much
idiots
of Elm Street.
Usually, I'm just kidding.
That
That was a crack at my buddy. That was a crack at my buddy because we used to grow up with the Freddy versus Jason thing all the time. I was always
that's fine
on the Freddy side. He always liked Jason more, and I'm just like, Jason's. They're just so lame. They're the same movie over and over and over again.
Yeah, but if anything, I'm hoping I can see like cool filming techniques and camera work and music and stuff like that. That's the main thing I'm taking away from this movie was its cinematography with a considerably low budget, like match being held up amongst these other films that had like extremely a lot.
That's probably why Part
and
6, in my opinion, is the best of the bunch all around. I think Part 6 has the best production value, probably the strongest story. It has the most fun, the music. You also got the Alice Cooper song, obviously, is what I mean by the music, but plus you have the original composer still, and it's just the most fun of all of them. And I don't know. It feels like it's one of the more expensive ones besides Jason Goes to Hell, which I know is the most expensive one, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they'll be
actually,
curious.
Jason Goes to Space might have been more. I can't remember now.
Well, Jason X is the one where he goes to space, right? That's
Jason X is. But between Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, I think had the 2 highest budgets. But until you get to the remakes and Freddy versus Jason and stuff. But yeah.
So when Freddy vs. Jason was made, was that like after, like was there a Nightmare on Elm Street made after Freddy vs. Jason, or
just the remake?
They all wrapped up. Okay.
Same thing for Jason. Is just the remake so far. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Their stories, the stories that have played out from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 and Friday the 13th Part 1. Concluded Freddy versus Jason. That's the last time, even though it's multiple people playing Jason through the years and everything, but Freddy versus Jason is essentially the end of both the original characters. They've never gone back to the original timeline at all since.
Unlike Michael Myers and such. Yeah. Chucky.
Right. Which that'll be another one I'll be tackling at some point.
Halloween. Even Leprechaun, technically.
Yeah.
I don't know when I'll start tackling Halloween. But like you've already seen, I've like already stopped. I haven't continued watching those other horror films yet from that huge box set.
The sad thing about the Friday the 13th remake is that had they left out the stupid where Jason gets his mask and shit again stuff and the stupid shit with him having a dungeon and all that crap, you could have just played it off like it was another sequel and just having a recap in the intro.
Yeah.
Right. Like I didn't have a problem with that part of it. In the first third or so of the film is okay. It's when it turns into Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 all over again, then I'm just like, what the fuck movie did these guys watch before they made this movie? Because they sure as hell didn't watch no Friday the 13th movies.
The guy that remade Texas Chainsaw Massacre is also the director of the remake of.
I know. And it shows.
He still had Chainsaw Massacre on his brain.
Which is sad too, because if I remember right, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake is probably the best of all those remakes.
Yeah, it's actually not horrible.
As far as I'm thinking about this now, I mean, you guys would know more than I would. So there's like Alien versus Predator, there's Freddy versus Jason, Godzilla versus Kong. are those like the main versus movies from separate franchises, or?
I mean, there's plenty more, I'm sure, but I mean, those are like the big.
It seems like a rarity to pull.
It all stems from the Universal Monsters with the Frankenstein versus Dracula.
Okay, yeah, going way back then. Okay,
yeah,
nice.
In the tradition of, yeah.
In the tradition,
yeah. Just I just wonder how that works sometimes. Now that when you think about studio rights,
there's still rumblings about Megan versus Chucky.
Like, yeah, they're still talking about that.
Well, I guess because I was thinking, like, you know, like Marvel's probably never gonna do like a versus DC because different studios, different characters, the writers would have to be bang on with that.
All I know is if they do, I'm actually all for a Megan versus Chucky, but they got to make a joke at the expense of the Child's Play remake in that movie. Like Chucky's got to be all like. He's got to be all like, she's got all these massively cool upgrades and shit. But I don't know, if I had them, it'd probably be kind of queer.
I can almost see the setup for that movie being like, it's like, it almost seems like it's going to be a Scream movie, but then it like it turns into Chucky versus Megan or something. Like,
I bet I'd sound all weird too, like Mark Hamill.
That is true, Clark the Shark. I mean, it's still there. It stays there, and it continues to stay there, even on the two masks.
Man, I'm so pissed. Why did the Chucky series have to get so bad?
Who knows?
This happened. The more
has anybody watched season 3?
I've never watched the series at all.
I haven't watched the show.
Somebody please tell me season 3 gets better, because I was so pissed after season 2.
Unfortunately, the longer you continue with franchises, just eventually you end up dragging them through the mud at some point, it seems. Well,
it's sad because I mean, I know this is off from, you know, where we're at, but like, I don't think you were around for the Child's Play talk too much, but like, because the first, you know, 4 films, great. Seed of Chucky,
we're a little bit, because I brought it on before too.
Yeah, and I understand why people don't like Seed, but I like Seed, and I liked the next one after that. I didn't even mind Curse of Chucky. I liked the first season of the Chucky series. I thought it was fine. I didn't have no issue. I don't have no issue with the gay characters. They're new characters. There's nothing wrong with that. My problem with the second season is I don't need a whole fucking episode about their gay love affair. Okay, I would say the same goddamn thing if they were a straight couple. I want to see Chucky kill people. That's what I'm here to see. That's what I want to watch. I don't want to see a bunch of other shit. If they're gay, that's fine. That's a side story. Make it and keep it a side story. There's never been a big romance as part of Child's Play other than what? Child's Play 3 and Bride of Chucky? Mm-hmm. So, like, I mean, I just don't get it. So, like, whatever. Then they had to have that stupid Knives Out episode. That's the one that really turned me off. When they were trying to justify all the bullshit of, it's okay to kill in the name of, you know, your pronouns or whatever the fuck. It's like, are you shitting me right now? And not only that, I can't believe Don Mancini didn't have the balls to see the humor and fun that he could have had with Glenn and Glenda, especially now, right? The funny thing would have been, Glenn and Glenda are in the wrong bodies. Yeah. So you got the girl in the boy body and the boy in the girl body. So you got a boy trying to be a girl and a girl trying to be a boy. You can do that and have 2 trans characters. Brilliant. Have fun with it. No, instead you got a chick who I think is one. I don't think it's twins. I think it's just one chick playing both of them.
Too.
Yeah, and it's just like that makes absolutely no sense.
And that's actually not as creative or like fun.
No,
it's not. Really. That's
like I said,
generic.
The whole joke is built on originally that he didn't know if he wanted to be a boy or girl, and then that was like, oh well, there's twins. We don't have to choose. Well, you have it to where Chucky fucked up.
That kind of sounds like
the girl and the girl and the boy.
It kind of sounds like the Trey and Matt like rule of like storytelling. You know, they're gonna do this, but then this happens because of this, and then that's how you get that setup there.
The problem I have with it is they're just doing it so they can have a woke virtue signal. That's why I hated it. And it was the first time the show, besides the whole gay episode, I felt like went that route. Yeah. And then I have no idea how bad season 3 is. I've heard mostly bad things, but most people haven't really watched it. So anyway, moving on. What did you have for us, Greg?
Speaking of horror icons, which if you're done there, real quick about Friday the 13th.
Yep.
Okay. Which is funny though, because Chucky is the only slasher from the 80s that's the story is still continuing. it's the same story from the first one to the TV show. Whereas like Halloween has multiple timelines. Jason's been rebooted. Freddy's been rebooted. Chucky was the only one that stayed the same. But speaking of horror franchises, I got Hannibal season 1, deliciously disturbing, played by Mads Mikkelsen here as Hannibal Lecter. It's not about to. I like this show. I've actually enjoyed it. It's very well done. It's very well made. It's speaking of Friday 13th, that Brian Fuller, I believe he was part of this, right? As far as I remember, and he was supposed to do the Camp Crystal Lake TV show, but he's not anymore. But no, this one is pretty cool. It's Will Graham is hunting down this cannibal serial killer, and he's got he's an FBI agent, and he's sort of messed up in his head a little bit as well. He's had something happen to him, and so he gets teamed up with Hannibal Lecter, this psychiatrist.
So the first season is basically like the beginning of Red Dragon, right?
Actually, the third season is Red Dragon. It's the beginning. The third season of the show is Red Dragon. It's basically remaking it, Manhunter and all that.
Yeah, I haven't seen these yet. I've been wanting to. I just haven't got around to it yet. Ironically, I just got the Arrow version of Silence of the Lambs the other day. But there's a weird connection here between Friday the 13th and this.
Yeah, Brian Fuller,
yeah, who just recently got booted from the Friday the 13th series, yeah.
Yep.
He was going to do something similar, only as far as I know, he wasn't going to remake anything in the Friday the 13th universe, was my understanding. It was just supposed to be a story that happens around the other films.
Yeah.
But I haven't got a chance to really look at the scripts that I got laying around here.
Interesting. But no, this is a really decent show. I was surprised by it because I was thinking, oh, it's a Hannibal show. It's on regular. It was on like NBC, I believe, and it's like, oh yeah, here we go again. It's actually pretty good, and it gets pretty gruesome. There's some pretty like hardcore like stuff in this and everything. But like Hugh Dancy, who plays Will Graham, is really great. He's struggling with what's going on, and he's like really good at what he does and everything. But he's had a bit of a mental breakdown, and Hannibal is there to help him out, and they're trying to solve this ritualistic like cannibal type murder that's going on. And there's also an FBI agent, that a young woman, the chick from My Girl, who was like, this was one of her. Where she came back as an actress. She had gone missing in the past, and they're kind of not over what happened to her. They don't know what happened to her. Let's just say it all comes back together to one person without spoiling too much in the first season. And it's got like a overall arcing mystery. It's pretty solid. And I think they did a really great thing here, because it's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 13 episodes. So they don't drag it out too long. And I believe each season is only like 13 episodes, so they don't drag it out too long. Mm-hmm. It's got a beginning, it's got a middle, it's got an end. The performances are great. Lawrence Fishburne is great in it as like the head of the task force or whatever, Jack Crawford, that working them all together. And it's just like, and they do play really well with the mystery of like who exactly is you pretty much know who it is. But did you play with,
I was going to say, because the first season, isn't that like kind of the flashback they tell in Red Dragon, basically? They just extend that out.
Yeah, it's basically how they meet, how they come together, how they work, how they solve a case and everything. And
you can tell Rook's bored.
Yeah, he's done.
The kid is starting to bug me, so I'm like trying to entertain him.
Shit, I don't care about this Hannibal crap. I don't know.
No, I actually like Hannibal, so that's. I never heard anybody praise the show, so it's good that there's a recommendation for it.
Yeah, I want to check out the show too. I've heard good things about it.
It's pretty solid. It's fun show.
And I like the movies quite a bit. So and I'm one of those that actually, I remember bringing on Red Dragon here not too long ago and talking that up. And that's the thing, is I love the Red Dragon story more than I do Silence of the Lambs. And some people get pissed at me when I say that. But it's like, look, really, Silence of the Lambs is the same fucking story with a chick. Will Graham is infinitely more interesting. Sorry.
Which is...
Clarice is just a scaredy little shit who does nothing. She accomplishes nothing. Hannibal does it all for her. The only time she does anything is when she finally pulls her gun and she's sitting there in the dark and gets lucky. Will Graham, on the other hand, is like you were just saying, a very complicated individual. His specialty is he can reconstruct a crime scene. He can see things the way a serial killer sees things. He can think the way a serial killer can think. And it fucks with him so badly.
Yeah, because he has like a lot of like he's like very fucked up in the head in this himself, you know, and he's a very complex character because he's really good at what he does, but what he does messes him up badly and to where he can't even see the serial killer right in front of his eyes, you know. And he does have a great back and forth with Hannibal and him have this great like
it's a different kind of back and forth than him and Clarice. See, that's the thing. I get why people like Silence of the Lambs. Silence of the Lambs is Beauty and the Beast. Okay, I've said it. There you go. I like the movie too. I love it. It's a masterpiece. It deserved all the praise and Oscars it got. But Red Dragon has always gotten the shaft. So if this show actually gives Red Dragon its just due finally, even though I love the version we did get despite its flaws, and Manhunter I do love as well, considering, but like take or leave either one of those, it's still a story that I don't feel has ever really quite got its just due, although I thought Red Dragon did so damn well. I've heard so many people praise this show, the opposite of Rook, where I've heard so many people praise this show, I've been scared to watch it.
It's good.
My expectations are so high.
I would say it's very well done. It's very much like I wanted to say like Sherlock Holmes and what's the guy that he always goes against?
What?
No, never mind. Moriarty. It's very much like Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty between these two.
Only though it's like if he didn't know if Moriarty was the guy he was after the whole time.
Exactly. He doesn't know. But he knows he's going against somebody as smart as he is and intelligent as he is, but he doesn't know.
Well, that's the whole thing is it's a fucking game for Hannibal, and I'm assuming that's how they play it in this too.
Oh yeah, Hannibal played it like very well. Like once he
only gets caught because he's fucking playing the game. Otherwise, had he not played the game,
yeah. He brings this. He's basically doing this to bring Will to him so he can toy with Will.
Exactly. That's my point. Like he's playing with Will. Like it's like, oh, I see what this kid is. I'm gonna fuck with him because he thinks he's inferior to him, or he wants to see if he is. It's like and that's what I love about Hannibal's character, because a lot of people are like, how could you like a character like that? It's like, I don't like him in the respect that I ever want to fucking meet him, because I think he would eat me. Yeah. And I don't mean that just because he's a cannibal. I mean it because that's what I like about his character is he's very selective on who and why he kills. Right. And that's what's brilliant about him is like Will, he wasn't going to kill him because he realizes how smart Will is. Right. But it wasn't until he got caught and he realized, shit, I fucked up. And that's when he has to kill Will. So like, it's this, if he has a respect for you, if there's something about you that he likes, you are probably the safest person in that room because he would kill somebody else for you. But if you're somebody who pisses him off in some way, rubs him the wrong way, does some injustice to his moral standards of some type, and you don't even know what they are, that's the scary part, right? Like, that's the fearful thing. Yeah. Like, that's what I love about in Red Dragon is he ends up eating the one dude just because they fucked up playing the orchestra. Like, and I'm sure that's something they have in this, or they have a play on that. Like, that's what's so brilliant about that character, right? And he would never eat Clarice, right? Like, he would never eat Will. He didn't want to kill Will. At least I don't know how they play it out in the show, but like, you know, like when he goes after him, like it's because he's pinned in a corner, right? Like that's the whole thing. But like,
basically he wants to sort of protect Will.
Yes.
And like even he like, I don't want to spoil it because like
it's a growing respect between them that like when it does happen, he realizes he fucked up kind of thing.
Like he wants to help Will, but also he wants to play against Will, and he respects him. And like, I don't want to spoil the first season because the first season ends in like they do it so well in the first season. And I would still say if you liked Manhunter and if you liked Red Dragon, you're probably still going to like those more than the third season. Not that it's bad, because it's not bad. It's actually done better than the Psycho, the Bates Motel. Because by the time they get to the with Marion Crane and everything on the Bates Motel TV show, it's not the same, and they fuck it all up, and it's horrible.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is very done. It's very done. It's done respectfully. It's done well. Brian Fuller does it good. Enough of the books and the novels and enough changes here and there. And it's very psychological. It's very horror. It gets a little more grotesque. Like, there's much more bloody and gore stuff when they actually do it. It's not like done everything because that's not what it's all about. But when they do it, I was surprised they were allowed to show that much on regular network TV. With it not being a cable show, so they do that, and but it's just great. And like, there's one whole episode that's really great, fun episode. It's like he's basically killing people. Like, it shows Hannibal like killing people here and there. It's just like out of the blue for you're like, what the hell is this all about? What's going on? And it turns out he's throwing a dinner party. So he's going grocery shopping essentially and killing these people, and he's serving them at a dinner party, like their liver and everything. and he's like smiling the whole way because he knows what he's doing, but nobody there knows that it's actually people they're eating. You know what I mean? So
and that's part of his little like
he's
twisted.
He's like having this nice fancy dinner party with all his new FBI friends and everything, and it's like, but they're eating people's livers and everything like that with a nice Chianti, by the way. So it's very well done.
Some fava beans.
So it's a very, very well done series. I would be anxious to hear your thoughts on Tom because I know you're a big fan. I would still say you're probably gonna like Manhunter and Red Dragon better, but it's done. The show's done very well, very well. And I don't know what it is about Brian Fuller, why people keep kicking him away from shows, Star Trek, Camp Crystal Lake, whatever. I don't know. It's just something about the guy that maybe he just has too good of ideals and they're like, no, we don't want to do that. So who knows? But that was my last pick of the night. So that was the first season of Hannibal. Spearing head off of Friday the 13th and everything. So.
Nice.
Which you got bored over.
I did not get bored of.
So tell me why, Rook, did you get bored of the Friday the 13th?
No, I did not.
Was it because of the incessant killing?
I enjoy that character
teenagers?
quite a bit, actually, yes.
And their whining and their sex and drugs and rock and roll.
Speaking of which, that is what's also really great in the show, and at least in the first season, is you get to see Hannibal interact with his patients.
Do you still hear it, Rook? The blaring of the rock and roll? When you can't sleep at night?
That's something you don't really think about or see too much, is like Hannibal was a very well-respected psychiatrist, so he had patients that he dealt with on a daily basis. Yeah. So they do play into that a little bit. Like you do get to see him at work a little bit.
He knows how to get into your head, figure you out.
And let's just say maybe some of his patients he doesn't like. But anyways, I guess we'll go back to you, Tom, since you got two more. Or you did.
Rook is too good for the Friday the 13th movies, I see.
I'll dine on my nightmare news.
They're below him.
Now that one sounded like a mix of Brian Cox and Anthony Hopkins. That last one.
Yeah, well, it's when he does his hillbilly voice for Clarice.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to you, Tom, for your final ones of the night.
I've got two more picks. Oh, sorry, I'm in my Hannibal Lecter mode. I never thought I could do a good Hannibal until I did that over the phone one time, and somebody said, "Don't ever fucking do that again." I'm like, "What?" Like, you didn't know it was like, no, I fucking thought it was Hannibal Lecter. I'm like, I didn't even think it was that good. Like, I thought you were gonna eat my fucking liver, dude. Oh, and how good it would be. Anyway, so where do I go here next? All right. Well, I watched a biopic this week. And this is one I hadn't seen since it initially had come out. And it reminded me of how big it was at the time that it came out and how much a lot of the films following it kind of followed the same, even to this day in a way. What's Love Got to Do with It? The Tina Turner story.
Oh.
which has never been
yeah.
released on Blu-ray in the US. As you see, I had to import it.
I can see it's a little MA.
Yeah, because it is a Disney release disc, but for some reason they just never decided it. And I think this was mastered in 4K. It looks really good for a 2013 release. That's 2 movies tonight that I think might have been mastered in 4K.
And speaking of Lawrence Fishburne,
Yeah, he beat the brakes off that bitch. No,
roll over and put some stank on it.
oh, he did. Yeah, and I mean, I understand looking back now, especially like at the time it came out, it was just like whatever. It was one of those movies that came out. But I mean, so this is probably the first time I've seen it since the 90s. And again, I can't believe how much I remembered of it because it is just that cookie cutter. This was the first one of the, not the first one, but it was a lot like La Bamba and some of the other ones where it came out right in the same era where it was like, this was how you did it for a while. Right? So pretty basic. 2 hours, get in, get out, go from beginning, middle, end is their career. You know, you're pretty much their start, the worst of their times, then they're, climb to the, come back to the top. The same basic story each time. The music, decent. You can tell it's mostly re-recorded Tina Turner because she sounds old as hell.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember thinking that when I was watching it, but I haven't seen it probably since the 90s as well.
I just could notice that this time. I'm like, at the time, I probably wasn't paying that much attention, but I mean, I've heard those songs so many times over the last 40 years, 30 years, whatever. Listening this time, I'm like, that ain't the original. That's Tina, but that ain't the original. That's Tina like 10 years, 13 years, 14 years older
than
she was. A little more raspy, huskier voice. Exactly. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's Tina fucking Turner and Angela Bassett. I mean, come on. And like you said, I mean, it was probably one of the movies that put Lawrence Fishburne on the map as well, beyond just the character actor kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, now looking at it, I can see where Ike was so pissed off about this movie. And he probably did get done a little dirty. Now, am I making any excuses for his behavior? No. But what I am saying is they excessively show the bad side without showing any of the good side. Right. You know what I mean? Like, there had to be a good side for Tina to fall in love with him. There had to be some good times for Tina to stick around that long. And I mean, especially when she gets to the point where she clearly is bigger than he and her are, and she's still standing by him for the family for whatever reasons. I mean, it does feel like a very one-sided story. Now, again, I'm not making any excuses for Ike. He's a piece of shit. We know he did most of this shit, if not all of this shit. But again, I feel like they're not showing another piece of the pie or another piece of the puzzle that you normally would see. And I think that's where the biopic probably fails. And I think Tina did herself a disservice because I'm sure she had a lot to do with it. She's in the movie. Right. So, I mean, like, I'm sure I know, and it's based on her book. So I know she had a lot to do with it. I mean, she kind of did a disservice to her own story as well, because it makes her look kind of dumb for falling in love with him and falling so easy and naive and all that shit. If it's like, that's really the way he was. So you have to show us both sides of this guy, woman, for us to be okay. Like, we understand why you love him and you stand by him all this time until that last final breaking point. Right. So, I mean, and again, that's the whole crutch of the fucking story. So be that as it is. I mean, otherwise the movie does a pretty good job of staying true to what happened. I mean, it does amalgamize a few things. It does jump through some things. The only other thing I would say that are a little anachronistic, unless I see some actual footage of some of these performances, I feel like Tina is wearing clothes that are more modern compared to everybody else in every scene, to where everybody else is dressed appropriately for the era, but she looks like she's wearing something from the 90s. Like Tina was like picking out her own outfits for the movie, and it's like all new shit. None of it is like of the era at all.
I wasn't wearing that back in the day. I was wearing this.
Yeah, it's like, no, we know, we got the pictures, woman. And like, I could be wrong unless somebody proves me wrong, like at this point. But like, again, I just noticed these things this time just because it's that many years removed. All that kind of shit. But
inspired by a true story.
No, as far as the biopics, though, I mean, like I said, it does do a pretty good job of sticking to most of what actually happened the way it happened. It just does a disservice to herself by not showing the other side of, Ike as well. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So,
I
I mean,
mean,
even the Jackson film that she was in that same fucking year does a good job of showing Joe's good side along with his bad side, right?
mm-hmm.
So a very similar character, right, in that respect. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta show the good with the bad. I mean, there was a reason they stayed together for so long. I mean, sometimes though, like with those abusive relationships, people don't understand that from like seeing it and stuff is that like yes, there's something where they're drawn to each other, they love each other really much. There's a lot of this forgiveness and give back and everything. It happens, it does happen, but when you show one side where it's just constantly where you're getting beat constantly, it makes you think, why did she stay so long? And
it happens so early, so fast, so often that you're just like, okay. I mean, okay, maybe the first time she stayed because she was pregnant, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But once they get famous and she gets the offers start flooding in, you're just like, there's no reason, right? You have no, I mean, even back then, because like, yeah, true, to a point, I'm sure that was still in the era where Ike, it didn't matter. As long as they were married, there wasn't shit they were going to do unless he killed her. Right? Like, I mean, I hate to say this, folks, but there was a time in America where if your wife acted out, you were almost expected to take her ass home and beat her. I hate to say it like that. But it's true. So, like, I mean, they weren't that far removed from that era, if not still in that era in the beginning of the movie. So, like, that was I'm not making excuses for this. Because Ike's reasoning behind it was all still bullshit. And his own ego and shit like that. And then you have some of the more aggressive shit that he does later on. Again, which completely no excuse for. And at that point is, yeah, you should have left by now, woman. Like, you have no reason to still be here.
Didn't he threaten to kill her if she left?
Yeah, that too. But at that point, she's Tina motherfucking Turner. And she says it at the end of the movie, and that's her big stand-up moment. She's like, what are you going to do, Ike? What are you going to do? When he comes in with the gun. He's like, what the fuck are you going to do? I got a whole room full of people out there waiting to see me. Shoot me, Ike. Basically, she's basically, daring him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And in her own way saying, all those people out there are just going to fucking lynch you, right?
Yeah, you do it, you're gone.
Like, why didn't she get those balls sooner? Like, that's the thing. It's like, okay, I get it. You've gone through this for so long. You have the kids. She practically adopted all his kids because they only had like one kid together. Mm-hmm. All the other kids she's got were his that she adopted and took on after he, basically alienated all them too. But that's the thing. At that point, I mean, it's not like everybody doesn't know. It's not like Tina wasn't rich enough at that point. She couldn't have hired some security. Right? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's just, it feels like you're not showing another part of this story. And again, I'm not condoning or saying any excuses for Ike's behavior, but it just feels like you're doing a disservice to Tina herself by not showing this other side too. Mm-hmm. Because it can't just because she was afraid of losing anything at that point. Because even in the divorce, I'm pretty sure that's the way it went in reality too. All she wanted was the fucking name. He kept all the old songs and all that shit. She was beyond that anyway at that point. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, and she was on the verge of reinventing herself. So, I mean, again, it's just one of those things. I'm not making excuses for Ike, and I'm not trying to come down on Tina. I'm sure there's just another part of this that we're not seeing, that he was not this all the time, right? I can't believe somebody would be like this.
A loving side to it.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you've seen enough stuff about abusive relationships, yes, it does. It does take the women a long time to get away from abusive relationships.
True.
It does. That does happen.
But a lot of times the reason for that is security, right? Like they don't have any place to go. They don't have any secure place. You're Tina fucking Turner.
yeah. And the thing is, with those guys like that is like there is a side to them where they can be very nice. They can be very sensitive. They can be like, okay, this is why they fell in love with this person. That's how they keep bringing them back. They do show
some of that stuff, but it's kind of comes off as schmaltzy or whatever word you want to put it, to where it's like it doesn't come off believable. It's like, bitch, I don't even believe him at this point. Like how can you?
Happens, I guess.
And yeah, they show him doing more coke and all that kind of shit. So,
yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, what's your final pick of the night if you're ready to move on to that one?
All right. Here's the fun one, kids. This is a movie. If anybody from Kino Lorber's listening, Arrow's listening, this movie needs a remastering so badly. And is one of my personal guilty pleasures. And I hadn't watched it in a little while, and I'm like, you know what? I want to watch Bats.
Yes.
Starring Lou Diamond Phillips. Great fucking movie. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, the effects are hokey. Yes, it's basically Gremlins meets the Birds, but I don't give a shit.
It's a great movie.
It's fun.
And good night, Bright Boy, for hanging with us.
Yes, stabs, Joey. Stabs. That's where we're...
No, but Bats is an awesome film. I have not seen that in years myself. Now you're going to get me to want to watch it again. But I love Lou Diamond Phillips in this. It's that crazy small town. Like I love those like Trimmers and stuff. It's like these small towns where something like this happens. I love shit like that.
Let me guess, Rook hasn't seen this.
Oh, I guarantee you.
Is there like Mans as the second part of the title? Batsman's? Or what is this?
It's just Bats.
Yes, Bats.
Just Bats.
And it kicks ass. You will like it.
Especially if you like Tremors.
Yeah, you like Tremors. I know you didn't like Gremlins, but you'll definitely like it because you like Tremors. So, okay, here's the weird thing, Steven. I bought the digital version of it, which looks like shit and sounds like shit. One version of it on Amazon for free right now is the same version as far as I can tell that's on every other service. They got it listed on Amazon as PG-13. I'm pretty sure it's the unrated cut or the R-rated cut. There is no unrated cut as far as I know, because this has the R-rated cut. Uncut R-rated version, as they call it here. And it's literally like seconds of footage. Like, literally seconds of footage. Like, it's nothing to really brag about. At the end of the day, I'd just assume, because here's the thing that pisses me off, is this was one of the first movies to be mixed in, I believe, Dolby Digital X. So even though the DVD doesn't have it on it yet, because they didn't have it yet, but it says it does have the X enhancement, but I couldn't get it to work on my system, even though it should have. Maybe it's just because it's not compatible with how old the disc is, or something's not connecting right. Because it did give me the plain 5.1 to watch it with, but the soundtrack on it, like, that's the thing, because it's got that crappy 2.0 soundtrack on the digital version, which the picture looks better than the DVD, but it's still crappy looking. It looks like shit. It needs to be remastered badly. And this DVD is so fucking old that it looks like hell. I mean, it looks like absolute hell.
Is this like is it a Disney title or something is why we haven't got it?
No, it's Sony owns it, I believe. I don't know if they still own it. It was I think what's his face, Samuel Goldwyn Films and Destination Pictures, which was like, or Destination Films, which was like a short-lived company. I don't even know if they're still around anymore. But the only other movie they had that I can remember offhand, they had a couple, but like the other one that I enjoyed quite a bit was Drowning Mona, and that's another one that's hard to find.
Yeah.
And they were like this little upstart kind of company, and Sony was releasing their let me see what else they've had. Let's see if they're even still around.
I was looking at that DVD.
Looks like they're still around. And they still work with Samuel Goldwyn, it looks like. So I don't know why they haven't released it. Because Hollow Man is another one of theirs.
Yeah.
Bats was their first movie, too. That's the thing. Unless it's just because there's some kind of rights issue because Columbia did the distribution on it. I don't know. See, because now Drowning Mona says currently owned by Samuel Goldwyn Films.
Didn't they put Drowning Mona out on Blu-ray not too long ago?
Oh, same thing with Bats, currently owned by Sam. On DVD? No, I don't think so. I think it was just a re-release of the old DVD.
Didn't they put Drowning Mona on Blu-ray? I thought that was...
I don't think so.
Maybe
there is, it's news to me. because I have the digital version and I think I have the DVD laying around somewhere. But because I love Drowning Mona. Drowning Mona is one of the funniest fucking movies ever
What do you
made.
do when life gives you shit? Make a shit salad. That's true. Yeah, it's not a. It's a funny movie.
My mother always said, when life gives you potatoes, you make potato salad. Yeah, well, life gave me a whole pile of shit. So what do I do with that?
Yeah. Make shit
Make
salad. No, but I'm with you, man. I've always loved bats. I remember seeing that and just like it's a blast of a movie. I don't care.
He told
what
me he was
anybody
going to cut out my ovaries. Wait, he said he was going to cut out your ovaries? Yeah.
Nice.
He grabbed me, he almost ripped my overalls. Wait, you said he almost ripped your overalls? And Rook's just like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about.
No, he's done checked out.
Drowning Mona is one of the greatest comedies ever. I don't give a shit what anybody says. It's got Danny DeVito, Bette Midler, fucking William Fichtner, Will Ferrell's in it. Fucking Ben Affleck's little brother's in it. What's her face from Screens in it? Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. And basically it's about it's a mystery movie kind of, but it's a comedy. Because in the beginning of the movie, Bette Midler plays this character named Mona, who basically everybody in the town fucking hates. And she dies, and it turns out it's probably a murder, but basically everybody's a suspect because everybody has a reason to kill her. So, so that's the whole like setup. And Danny DeVito is the sheriff, and so he's of course got to figure out who the fuck did it. So, and it's just a hilarious fucking, because the whole town is kind of this fucked up sideways kind of town. Like the whole movie starts out that this town was used as the testing ground for the Pinto or whatever, or no, the Yugo. Yugo.
Yeah, they all have the same car.
So they all have the same car, and it's like, but that's a whole nother story. But all that is just to set up that everybody in town drives a fucking Yugo. It's like the whole movie is just one joke after another, and it's just fucking hilarious. It's just, and of course everybody's sleeping around with everybody in the town and everything like that, and it's just this whole hilarious fucking thing, you know. And of course the only two people in town that aren't complete and utter pieces of shit are like basically Dev Campbell and Casey Affleck's character, until you find out more about what's going on. Like, it is a great fucking movie. Not enough people went to see it in the movie theater, and it never really got a decent release on video. That's probably why most people don't even know it exists. But yeah, it's sad because it is a very funny movie that deserved to get a lot more attention. So probably the best thing Nev Campbell ever did too, as far as acting.
Yeah,
I know people can't believe that, but it's true.
Yeah. But I mean, if I would also recommend Bats, Rook. If you like Tremors, I think you would like Bats. It's basically,
but Bats. Okay, we didn't even talk about Bats yet.
Yeah,
basically,
Bats
is about these. Okay, the guy's name is what's his name? Bob Canton, who usually plays like weird scientists and bad guys and stuff. He's this guy who made these genetically altered bats. Of course, he did.
Like,
and they got out.
He had an intention.
Oh no, he did it on purpose.
Like what was the intention? Like to have
just to see if they worked
or something. Like we can have bat as meat now to eat. Or something.
Basically, like, no. They can eat us.
Oh, right. Because it's an overpopulated small town. Is that it? So he's got to cool some of the population down a bit.
No, his whole thing was he's trying to make bats that would be able to survive anywhere and make them stronger. And of course, the side effect being that they're more aggressive and they get a taste for human blood. And so two of them get out and they infect the rest of this bat population right outside of this small Texas town. And so Dinah Meyer, or whatever her name is, she gets brought in because she's like a bat zoologist, and her apprentice is what's his face from Cool Runnings.
Dougie Doug.
No, not Dougie Doug. That's the other one. Leon, I think his
Leon.
name is just Leon.
Leon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leon.
Another Leon. Anyway, yeah, and he's all right in the movie too. And basically, so like, and then Lou Diamond Phillips is the sheriff in the town, and of course these bats are roosted right outside of town, and they've had a bunch of livestock, and a few people turn up dead, and they're pretty sure it was these bats. So the guy comes into the town from the CDC and all this shit, and they go get her just a la like Jurassic Park style. I mean, this movie is basically every cut and paste, and it is brilliant. It is so fucking brilliant. How stupidly bad it is.
Monster movie.
It is. It is. It does not pretend to be anything other than what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's not being all pretentious. It's the actors are all playing it completely fucking straight, and it's not even. It's a so bad it's good movie. It's a so just kind of cheesy it's good movie. Like, I don't know how to put it other than that. It's just very much in the vein of Tremors, Rook.
Let's hope I don't get constipated.
Like, and it even has kind of like some of the same kind of like humor as Tremors, right? Like, it has that kind of, you know, with an elbow to the ribs kind of thing.
Expect practical bats or like
both
digital,
early digital,
funny.
Very bad CGI bats, and some really good and wonky looking puppet bats.
I mean, if you can handle this type of, I mean, those are fun movies. It's like the cheesiness, the bottle.
I'm sorry, but the scene where they attack the town is the best scene ever. Go ahead. I did not mean to interrupt.
No, I was going to you go ahead. I was just saying, like the cheesiness, the bottle film of it, like where it's set in one location and all these like the crazy diverse characters of like you got the town sheriff, you got the smart chick, you got the nerdy guy, and all them all coming together in this town fighting these bats, and their bats going batshit crazy. So that's when it's great.
Is there like a backstory of like my mother was killed by bats?
No, nothing like that. I mean, her whole inspiration for getting into bats was she was scared as a kid, but I mean, it's not like that deep or anything like that. No,
she will become Batman in this universe.
No, not quite, but yeah, no, I think you might enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. Here, we can watch a short clip. You might have to clip some of it out if we watch too much, but.
Carter! Any possible engines? Hurry up!
Well, that's all being taken care of, sir.
Let's jump ahead.
Jimmy here. What's going on?
Leaving strings. They're not like any bats I've ever seen. They're trying to get into that track.
There you go. There's some bats. That's what I'm talking about. We got some rubber bats, kids.
Okay. Honestly, this looks better than what I was picturing in my head.
Yeah,
They're finding ways in the car. Jump ahead a little bit here, just so. Fucker.
That's disabled the cat. Oh no.
Oh, the sound on this though. If you got a 5.1 or whatever, man. Oh man.
Smart bats.
Fucking love this movie.
It really does need a new Blu-ray, a good Blu-ray or something.
Are you listening, Kino?
Yes,
4K.
Kino, bring it on. I've got to have some people from Kino watching me by now. I mean, I've helped you guys sell a lot of shit. So come on.
What year was this movie?
1999. This is one of the greatest fucking Bat movies. This is the greatest Bat movie ever made.
Yeah.
Like, I've talked about some of the cheesier ones in the past here. Like, this is the one that fucking delivers.
I'll watch. I'll check this out on Tubi.
I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. The movie Eight-Legged Freaks with
that's another one kind of in the same vein. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons. Bats was one of the reasons why I was so excited to see Eight-Legged Freaks.
I think so. I might have seen both of them. There's the one that like they have giant spiders, and then there's the one where I don't think they're giant spiders, but there's like a smart spiders or like a big one, and it like launches at some guy's face. It's like yeah, like Eight-Legged Freaks and Arachnophobia. I think I've seen both of them, but it's been a while.
Yeah,
Arachnophobia is pretty good. That's directed by a good friend of mine, Frankie Marshall. Jurassic World coming out soon. Part 7. Check it out.
Check it out.
Global warming kills the dinosaurs. And then I'm going to do Twisters 3 with a 3 for the E. And guess what? Inside the Twister, there's dinosaurs.
That would be great, actually.
And they land on Congo Island. So it's Twister Jurassic Congo. Or is it Jurassic Congo Twister? I don't care. We're working on it. We're workshopping it. We're getting it out there. It's gonna Twisted Sisters. We're gonna get them to do the soundtrack.
Twisted Congo Dinosaurs. No, that does sound right.
Twistongo World.
Congo World. They're supposed to be remaking Arachnophobia, so
Fucking losers.
exactly. All right.
Congo.
We gotta get. It's 3 hours here. I gotta get some sleep. So
Yeah, we're done. We're done.
Let's
That's
close
for
up
all my
here.
mead folks out there who love it when I do Frankie. I haven't done Frankie in a while.
There you guys. You got a little special treat here. But
Well, he came back out for Twisters. I was impressed because I saw it. I'm like, where's Kathy's name? No Kathy name. And it's been like, I think the same for the last couple Jurassic films too. So yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny is he brings those out and does it and they kick ass, and she's doing Star Wars and they just tank now. Sucks, don't it, bitch?
All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Ruok, for being here as always, and for your great picks. To everybody out in the chat and everybody watching at home, appreciate y'all. Thank you guys. Make sure you're still like, subscribed, and everything. And if you aren't, maybe hit that like button, subscribe, and share the channel out, and the video out, and the stream out, and everything. And I appreciate y'all. Thank you so very much. As always, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.